communities on issues that are really impactful to the west side of Los Angeles and to the city. My father came to Los Angeles in 1945 after World War II and went to USC on the GI Bill. I was born here, my children were born here, and I hope my children's children will be. And I'm very much an Angelino through and through, and I'm excited about the opportunity to continue to have an impact and be part of a team that is helping to shape the future of the city and how people interact and how they commute to work and issues of climate change and others. So I'm very excited to be a part of this and excited to move forward.
Saying he believes in neighborhoods, District 4 Councilmember Tom LaBonge requests that community outreach be expanded and asks Mr. Burton for his view of a future Los Angeles.
Things have transformed in Los Angeles the last 100 years. We are going to be transforming again. I do believe in neighborhoods, and if you preserve neighborhoods and enhance the density where there's transit, enhance where there's infrastructure that can handle it, it works. Our biggest pushback is when the neighborhoods feel threatened, so you have to balance that out as well. And I do believe in the axiom as information as knowledge is power, and I would love to see a lot of people driven to the website for the community plans, for the zoning. People wake up and they say, I didn't know this was happening. Well, it's been zoned like that for 20, 30 years, right, but they don't know. A proposal that I had that hasn't been successfully implemented yet is when you close escrow, you have to sign a series of papers, including you change your gas shutoff valve for earthquake, you change your sliding doors because of glass, and there'd be one that you be informed what community plan you're in, what area of the city that you're in, and what is your zoning and your adjacent zoning. Because sometimes people wake up and they don't know in their backyard that's allowed. That's allowed and encouraged. We've had some tough decisions there. Just give me a 30-second painted picture, Los Angeles, 2019, 10 years from now. Give me a minute.
Okay, sure, thank you. Well, the city is going to continue to grow, and I think that's a reality that everybody needs to be prepared for, and communities and the council and everything else. All too often, I think folks say, well, if we don't build it, they won't come. And that's just not true. People come here and they double and they triple up in apartments, and the streets get more and more crowded. So it's the vision of really planning for that going forward. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Director Goldberg and what she's trying to accomplish. Simply pushing 5 community plans through the Planning Commission this year is quite a task. And one of those will be Hollywood, which I look forward to working with you and Mr. Garcetti on. But I think, back to Ms. Gruhl's point, transportation has to be a critical part of this growth, because these communities are changing and they aren't transforming. It doesn't mean they need to change your character, but you are going to have more people, and we need to figure out a way to address that so we can continue the great livability of many of these neighborhoods.
Keep your fingers crossed on this one. Open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
There you go.
Great.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
And we also congratulate Mr. Burton on his unanimous approval and appointment to the City Planning Commission. The Council on Tuesday considered items 10 and 11 together. Now, these items would require members of neighborhood councils participating in the filing of council files to file a financial disclosure form. District 7 Councilmember Richard Alarcon contends that participating in offering council files and financial disclosures are 2 entirely separate issues.
It was almost a year ago, 11 months ago, that we promised that by April 1st we would have this matter resolved, and that people would be able in the neighborhood council system would have the opportunity to introduce neighborhood council files. Obviously, that was an April Fool's joke, because what we strapped on the report was a requirement of ethics that was not intended. It was done at the last minute and the last hour of discussion, and it was, I think, intended to sidetrack the opportunities for neighborhood council members to participate as they would so desire by submitting neighborhood council files. So, in fact, the mission was accomplished, and we went through a series of hearings to identify a way to incorporate ethics into the neighborhood council file system in a way that made sense. And what we discerned was that there is no majority opinion on how to tie an ethics requirement onto the neighborhood council file system. Not only does the Ethics Commission disagree with the BONC, but BONC and ethics disagree with most neighborhood council members that I've had the opportunity to speak with, including the Valley Alliance and those who testified today. The bottom line is there's two separate issues before us. One issue is in item 10 and 11 would allow neighborhood councils to submit neighborhood council files. Pure and simple, and we destroyed that opportunity by inserting this ethics provision. The ethics provision and whether or not neighborhood councils should stand up to the plate and have an additional ethics requirement other than state law, which requires them to have ethics training, is a separate issue.
Supporting some form of financial disclosure, District 12 Councilmember Greg Smith says there's some great ideas out there, but if neighborhood councils become legislative, they should comply with state law.
This is not an easy subject. It is sometimes categorized as being anti-neighborhood council. Nothing can be further from the truth. And we said that last year when we voted on this. None of us are opposed to the concept of neighborhood councils introducing files to the council. There are great ideas out there, and I've introduced a number of them on behalf of neighborhood council who have come to me with great ideas that that's a great idea. Let's do that. This short circuits that and lets them bring it right to us. Great concept in democracy. The problem is the charter established neighborhood council to be advisory in nature. And if we wish to change that rubric and allow them to be a legislative body also, then they need to comply with the rules of law of California. Every elected California representative, whether a city council, a local board, a local commission, a state legislator, a state commission, every one of them must file a financial disclosure law because of openness in government that we believe in California. That's how you stop corruption. I would remind this council that it voted 11-2 to institute a process that would allow the neighborhood councils to do that very thing. Do some sort of financial disclosure so we know what is the problem if there is one neighborhood council. We also talked about it last year, that there's been a couple of abuses already that did not come to light by the good wishes of a neighborhood council member who wanted to be truthful, but rather by a press who exposed fraud and abuse in a neighborhood council. One of which a council member in the Valley took $5,000 to promote a zoning case before a neighborhood council, was never disclosed. He never told anybody until the newspaper found out about it. Another case where a company in this city who was negotiating a huge financial deal with this very city council hired a lobbyist to infiltrate neighborhood councils to get support for their company. They were not exposed until it came out in the newspaper. And so to say, let's just trust them is a level of trust that I don't think the people of California want to give. That's why we have these laws. That's why we have ethical laws above and beyond any state in the union. And that should extend to neighborhood councils that want to play in that arena.
After voting on various amendments to items 10 and 11, your Los Angeles City Council takes a final vote on the matter.
Now the entire package. Please open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
8 ayes, 4 noes.
We have item 11 before us. Okay, is everybody clear on item 11? Mr. City Clerk, why don't you detail what the item 11 is, the vote is?
This is the Education and Neighborhoods Committee report relative to the procedures and guidelines for submitting the neighborhood councils.
And the recommendation from the committee is?
Is to, 1, approve the submission process for neighborhood councils to initiate council files, including A, completing a neighborhood council file submission sheet and attaching documentation of the neighborhood council board action, the resolution or minutes, and B, filing the completed neighborhood council file submission sheet and attachments with the city clerk. 2, instruct the city clerk to create a neighborhood council file only and when all of the above required criteria have been verified and refer the matter to the appropriate City Council committee for consideration, consistent with established referral procedures. 3, instruct the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment to provide the training and resources to facilitate this activity as much as possible. And lastly, 4, instruct the City Clerk, Dunn, and the Ethics Commission to report back in 6 months with a status report on the Neighborhood Council File pilot project.
Please open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 3 noes.
Okay, that is approved.
And joining us now is the General Manager of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, Bong Wan Kim. Mr. Kim, welcome to Council Week in Review.
Thank you for inviting me.
Before we talk about the impact of the vote itself and the council discussion, can you explain what a council file is?
A council file is a motion introduced by a council member, and literally a file is created with the language, containing the language of the motion, and it requires the city council to take action on it, whether it goes through committee and whether it ultimately decides, whether it ultimately ends in a council action is for the full council to decide.
Would there be a difference between a regular council file and a neighborhood council file?
In essence, it would be very similar. It would be processed by the city clerk and handled by the city council in similar ways. The main difference would be that the idea behind the motion would be introduced by neighborhood councils.
So how would this pilot program work, and do you anticipate the program being in place? By the way, how long is it scheduled to be in place, I should ask first?
It's currently scheduled to be a 2-year pilot.
As the program stands now, is the disclosure aspect in place? And if so, what needs to be disclosed and how extensively?
That has been probably the most contentious issue among some council members and neighborhood council leaders as well. But the final policy that the council decided on will require a financial disclosure form to be filed at the same time that a neighborhood council takes action on a neighborhood council file.
To be clear, what sorts of things do they have to disclose? Who has to disclose it? And by the way, what kind of guidance or help would be available to get them through these new rules?
Well, the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment will mainly be responsible for training and educating the neighborhood councils on what the guidelines and procedures will be. And we still have to work out the details since the council action is so new. But basically it would require information on the income and business dealings of individual board members. It would also require disclosure on gifts and other financial matters. It's basically a modified form of the Form 700, which appointed and elected officials and high-level city executives are required to file.
You probably have more contact with more neighborhood councils than anybody else. Have most of the neighborhood councils actually expressed an interest in being able to submit council files?
I've heard a lot of interest, mainly by those who are most active and passionate about this issue. So it's hard for me to get a sense of the 1,500 currently elected board members, how many feel strongly about having this neighborhood council file. But the closest tool that neighborhood councils have to neighborhood council files is the community impact statement, and about 39 neighborhood councils have utilized that tool over the past year. So it's hard to say how many neighborhood councils will actually take up the neighborhood council file action. The critics would say that the financial disclosure requirement that the city council had taken action on will basically chill the neighborhood council file action, and so people shouldn't expect a whole lot of neighborhood council files to be filed, but we have yet to see.
As we understood it watching the proceedings, neighborhood council members, or at least elected board members, are required by the state to take some sort of ethics training, and I think you said that most of them have not.
That's correct. There hasn't been a whole lot of outreach and follow-up done to neighborhood councils, neighborhood council board members, reminding them that this is a state law and you are required as a public official of the city of Los Angeles to complete this ethics test, ethics training. And the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is going to start sending out more frequent reminders that this is a requirement. The new council action that was taken alongside the neighborhood council file action has now made it mandatory for neighborhood council board members to fulfill that requirement. So we will be following up with the LA City Ethics Commission, with the city clerk, and with the city attorney to determine how to implement that policy action that was taken by the city council.
it wasn't clear to me from watching the proceedings in council, and perhaps you can clear this up, if they have not all complied on a given neighborhood council with this ethics requirement, can they in fact still move ahead with submitting or suggesting council files?
That's one of the details of the implementation that we still have to work out. The other piece of the policy, one of the motions that was passed by the council was requiring board members who had a conflict of interest to recuse themselves from that particular neighborhood council file issue. So there were basically 3 actions that were taken by the city council, and that's the framework within which the relevant city departments will be charged with following up and making sure that the procedures, the education, the guidelines, and the administrative procedures are put in place.
Taking the larger view of this, and I think Councilman Smith kind of alluded to some of the things that could happen here, what is the reason, what is the purpose for this kinds of ethics training, either required by the state or by the city? What are we trying to avoid or accomplish?
Well, the basic reason for the ethics training is to educate public officials on transparency for the general public, because neighborhood council board members are considered elected officials, and they have information, they have resources, and they will be making policy advice to the city council that can affect constituents. The state laws make sure that the decision makers are aware of the need to disclose anything that could appear or in fact be a conflict of interest on any particular issue. So basically it's put in place to make sure that community stakeholders, residents, and the general public are assured that the people that are making decisions and advising decision makers on important policy issues that affect the quality of life of individuals, that they are accountable to a certain standard of honesty and integrity.
And are not doing something that would benefit themselves personally then?
That's correct. That's one of the most important provisions.
Got it. Very good. Now that we're a few years into the formation of neighborhood councils in Los Angeles, are you finding that neighborhood council membership is increasing?
Well, you know, we haven't really started tracking the board membership as one indicator of participation until recently. So we now currently have a baseline of roughly 1,500 elected neighborhood council board members. That doesn't include volunteers, because you know, one of the principal purposes of neighborhood councils is to involve as many community residents as possible in the affairs of the neighborhood council as well as city government. So we don't really know that part of it in terms of how many people are getting involved, but it is my goal for the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment to get the word out to as many people in the city as possible that this is one of the most exciting civic engagement opportunities in the country, and there's a lot of meaningful work for people who want to make a difference in their communities. And I am optimistic that this system is going to just grow more robust, and it's going to continue to get people involved, and it's going to continue to get our elected officials better quality information on the issues that communities consider most important to them.
I imagine you get asked all the time what kinds of projects or policies have impacted Los Angeles because of the neighborhood council. So I guess the question is, has the creation of neighborhood councils really had a positive effect yet on the city?
I don't think there's any question that the neighborhood council system has made a difference. Probably one of the most high visibility issues occurred in Sunland, Tahunga, where Home Depot had filed for an application to build a store in their neighborhood. The neighborhood council felt like that was not the best use for that parcel of land, and so they took an objection and protested that action. And you know, Home Depot ended up withdrawing their application, and I think that is a great credit to the leadership and the organizing abilities of that particular neighborhood council. That's one of the more visible ones, but there are hundreds of examples of neighborhood council activists and community residents utilizing the new vehicle that's available to them through neighborhood councils to make significant improvements in the quality of life of their neighborhoods, from graffiti removal to restoring rundown buildings to advising their city council on what kind of improvements to make in the physical infrastructure, whether it's streets or tree removal, and a whole bunch of other small issues, but when they all add up, does contribute significantly to improving the day-to-day life in neighborhoods.
If somebody listening to all of that and saying, I'd like to make an impact on those topics, perhaps they're saying to themselves, I want to get involved, I want to do something for and with my community. What should they do? How can they get more information on neighborhood councils?
Well, they have a number of choices. They can contact their local neighborhood council. That would probably be the best. Just go to a meeting. Most of the neighborhood councils hold at least one full board meeting a month. And if you go to our website, which I believe you will post, but it's lacityneighborhoods.com, and you could click to the neighborhood council that is in your area, and I think that you will find the neighborhood councils are very welcoming. Most of the neighborhood councils that I've visited myself have made it a point to reach out to every new face that they see at a neighborhood council board meeting, welcoming them, asking them what their issues are and how they could get involved. There are so many neighborhood councils covering literally every square mile of Los Angeles, and it is really a great opportunity for people who want to make a difference, and I think it's probably the best kept secret in Los Angeles for people who want to make a difference.
I think you just let the secret out of the bag. Bhagwan Kim, General Manager of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
Thank you very much.
The Los Angeles City Council voted to stand in recess on Tuesday, January 20th and Wednesday, January 21st. There will be no meetings on those days, so the next regularly scheduled council meeting will be held on Friday, January 23rd. Because of that recess, the next Council Week in Review will be seen on Sunday, February 1st. When in session, you can listen to City Council meetings as well as committee and commission meetings on the telephone by using the city's council phone system. In the downtown area, dial 213-621-CITY. In West LA, dial 310-471-CITY. For the San Pedro area, dial 310-547-CITY. And in the San Fernando Valley, dial 818-904-9450. Just follow the recorded instructions for the meetings you want to hear. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending January 16th, 2009. On behalf of Monty Duarte and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
So if an emergency happens, are you prepared? Do you know who to call? Do you have a meeting place? An emergency can happen at any time. You need to be ready. A family's a team. So take a few minutes and put a family emergency communications plan together as a team. Check out labt.org for all the info. Just be ready, prepare together. All right, let's go, come on! This ball is not going to play itself.
Washing a car may not look dangerous. In fact, a lot of things we do in our neighborhoods may not appear hazardous. But they are when they go down the storm drains. Storm drains go straight to the ocean. Make the connection.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an Iyengar yoga teacher here in Los Angeles, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel. Namaste.
Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for January 23rd, 2009. Welcome to the John Ferraro Council Chamber in room 340 of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We are in recess on this Tuesday and Wednesday due to the presidential inauguration, but we welcome everybody back and thank the members of the public who are here, our honored guests who are here for our presentations later, and our viewers on Channel 35. I'm Council President Eric Garcetti, and I'm joined by my colleagues today, Richard Alarcon, Tony Cardenas, Wendy Gruhl, Jan Perry, Bill Rosendahl, and Jack Weiss. We are still awaiting some other council members who are on their way. If they would please make their way as soon as possible. Ms. Hahn, if you will please join us. Mr. Huizar is excused today, but Mr. Labange, if you will join us. Mr. Parks is excused today as well. Mr. Reyes is excused to arrive at 11:30, but Mr. Smith, who is also excused, and Mr. Wesson is excused. So Mr. Zine and Ms. Hahn and Mr. Labange, if you'll please make your way down. We will start our official business as soon as we have 10 members or a quorum. As I mentioned, Channel 35 broadcasts each meeting live throughout the city's cable system and rebroadcasts us each evening. We also are available through the internet at our city's homepage, lacity.org, where you can catch webcasts of our council meetings and any of our archived footage as well from past council meetings. Our agendas and city departments and information about your elected officials are all online there, so if you haven't checked out our city's homepage, please do. We also are available through your telephone. Our council meetings are simulcast through the council phone system, which is a number you can call and listen in to our committee meetings and our council meetings. That number is 213-621-CITY. For those of you who are new here, our agendas are available in the back, so if you'd like to see what we're going to be voting on today and discussing, please get an agenda. Those are made available 72 hours in advance, either online or in person here in council chambers or at the city clerk's office. We are assisted in our meetings by the city attorney and the city clerk's office right in front of me, and we thank them for their help as well. We also have a portion of our meeting which is for general public comment. And if you'd like to be heard by the council on any items that are not on the agenda but nevertheless under our jurisdiction, please fill out a speaker card in the back. The same goes for any of the items which have been agendized for a public hearing. Just fill out your name and hand it to one of the sergeants at arms on the sides of the aisle, and we will hear your testimony. Finally, if you live closer to Van Nuys, we have a teleconference facility there in the Van Nuys City Council chambers, and you can always testify from there, and we see you here live in downtown. And we try to take the council meeting there once a month, usually for the first Friday of the month, to bring the city council closer to all Angelinos. Again, we are awaiting 3 other council members, but each Friday we have presentations to begin our council meetings. And I know that we have some special guests that Councilmember Cardenas wants to honor. And so in 2 minutes we will begin that, if everybody just sits tight. And again, Ms. Hahn, Mr. Labange, and Mr. Zine, if you'll please make your way as soon as possible, and we will hear from Mr. Cardenas shortly. Welcome to our Arleta High School Mustangs in the meantime. Thank you, Mr. Zine. Okay, and we will begin our presentations by recognizing the great council member from the 6th District, Mr. Tony Cardenas.
Hola, come right there. Ray, you're in the front. Yeah, hey, we're in live. You can't be doing that. You want to be famous? And it's a magnetic. Hey, and it's magnetic. We got a magnetic hearing. I mean, everybody gets stuck with
And while we're waiting, Mr. Cardenas, will you just please call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendale, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zion, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Okay, Mr. Cardenas moves and Mr. Labange seconds. Without objection, those are approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right, Ms. Hahn moves and Mr. Rosendahl seconds. Without objection, those are approved too. We can run through the agenda. I know Mr. Cardenas is awaiting one more thing, so let's go ahead and run through the agenda real quick.
Before the beginning of the regular meeting, Mr. President, there's a request to continue several items. Item number 26, there's a request to continue that matter for 1 week, and that would be January 30th.
If there's no objection, let's go ahead and continue that till the 30th of January. Other continuations?
And there's also a request from Councilmember Hahn to continue items 27, 39, and 57, and those all for next Tuesday, which is January 27th.
Okay, without objection, we'll continue those.
And there's another request to continue item 68 to the 27th as well.
Any objection? Seeing none, we'll continue that.
And there's also a request to continue item 69 to the 30th.
Okay, we will continue that without objection.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 14 are items noticed for public hearings. The recommendation for council action is to open the hearing and continue the matters to February 11th and February 13th. And I believe there's a card on item number 1. Do you wish to call that one special?
Yeah, we'll call that special for cards in the public. And 2 through 14, we will, without objection, take those actions to continue them to the 11th and 13th. Next items?
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 15 through 31. And I believe there's a request to refer item number 24 back to Plum Committee.
Without objection, we'll refer 24 to Plum Committee.
And that would leave before council 15 through 23, 25, and 28 through 31.
Okay, any specials, colleagues? Yes, 26 for, we continued that to the 30th. There was a request to continue that to the 30th, so we already did? Okay. Unless you want to reconsider that. There was no objection at the time. Ms. Perry, did you want to?
32.
Okay, did it? Okay. No other ones. Let's go ahead and, if there's no objection to considering 25, which requires 10 votes, there's no objection. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote on the ballots.
10 ayes.
Those will all be approved except 15, which will go over 1 week as an ordinance. Next items.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 32 through 69. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, we have cards on 59, 61, and 32. We'll call those special for cards from the public. Any other specials, colleagues? 32 through 69?
And, Mr. President, 32 is a commissioner. Do you wish to hold that on the
Yeah,
desk?
and we have cards on that too, so we'll call it special.
And
for
I
both.
believe there's a request to receive and file two of the items in that, 52 and 60, excuse me, and 56.
Yeah, okay, without objection. And Ms. Perry?
Yeah, 62, I need to call special to send back to committee.
Okay. Is there no objection to sending that back to committee? 62? That's E&E? Energy, or which committee?
Budget and TCT.
Okay. Budget and TCT on 62, without objection. On the balance, let's go ahead and open the roll then.
I'm sorry.
Yes?
Mr. President, I've been informed that item number 65, an amending motion will be coming.
Okay, let's hold that for amending motion on 65. So with that, let's take the balance up. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
33 through 38 as ordinances will go over a week, and the others are approved. If we can call the roll on the special meeting, please.
Mr. President, that was agendized for 10:45.
Okay, great. And Mr. Cardenas, with that, the floor is yours. Again, we would like to recognize Mr. Cardenas and the Mustangs.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President, members. It gives me great pleasure and honor to announce that Arleta High School went a perfect 14-0 to win the City Invitational Championship. Let's give them a hand. Tom and LaBonge and I were talking about who they beat in the championship. The Mustangs beat Franklin High School 31-8 to claim the title in a game that was played at East Los Angeles College. The Mustangs scored an average of 39.7 points per game and only allowed 100 points all season, which is an average of 7.1 points per team every time they showed up and defeated someone. The Mustangs are the only undefeated team in the city section. What's extraordinary about this championship is not only going undefeated, but winning the championship, and the school has only been in existence for 3 years. Already they're developing a dynasty, at least that's what I'm calling it, and they've only been around for 3 years. The majority of these kids prior to attending Arleta High School have never touched a football. Imagine if Arleta High School would have never been built. These kids would not be standing next to me in these city council chambers being honored. With their commitment, hard work, and dedication, anybody can become a champion like these young men have become, and that's what they're proving to all of us. They're to be honored, and they're also among their peers. They are leaders among their peers. It's a testament to not only the coaches, but the administration and students and parents in preparing these students to compete on and off the field. This is Coach Jeff Engelman's 5th city championship. He has two with Manual Arts, 2 with Sylmar High School, and now 1 with Arleta High School. The message here is never to give up on our young people. With just a little guidance, they could achieve anything. Although this championship was a team effort, none of these kids are good. We're not going to talk about their individual achievements because this was a team effort and they contributed, and that's what they've learned by being champions, that you don't do things alone. You always have to depend on the person in front of you, the person beside you, and be ready to hand the ball off to the person behind you, and off we go. Congratulations to the Mustangs on their 2008 City Invitational Championship. I'd like to give the first certificate of congratulations of recognition to Coach Jeff Engelman and allow him to say a few words. Coach?
Just before we hear from Coach, you want to hear from the council members? We've got a couple of council members that would like to add their good wishes, Coach, and to the team. So first, Councilmember Alarcon, and then Councilmember LaBonge.
Members, I share in Councilman Cardenas' pride because I know that probably half the team lives in my council district. They are so close in proximity. But honestly, I want to admit that this just wasn't fair. And it wasn't fair because not only did Jeff Engelman have championships, 4 championships preceding this. He also had 2 of those championships with Dr. Linda Calvo as principal of Sylmar High School. So when the 2 of them went over to Arleta, it just wasn't fair to everybody else. And that's not to demean the talent of the team, but I think the team knows that in order to have a successful football team, you have to have an administration that supports the program. And clearly, not only does she support the program, she pulled Jeff over. I can tease Jeff because I remember when he played baseball at Fernangeles Park in Sun Valley, because we grew up in the same neighborhood. And he used to hang out with my cousins because he's a little bit older than me. But he is one of Pauley High School's, even though they're rivals at this point, he is one of Pauley High School's pride and joys. And so as a Pauley graduate, I commend Jeff for the history of success that you have had. As the council member for the 7th Council District, I commend this team that came together from all different neighborhoods in the Northeast San Fernando Valley to be the powerhouse in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. I commend Linda Calvo and the administration for supporting this program and believing that these young people in transition from high schools throughout could have an immediate, or practically immediate success. And finally, as somebody who volunteered to teach at Arleta High for a couple of semesters a few years ago, I'm very proud to have been part of the team. In fact, some of these students may have been in the classes that I taught. So congratulations to all the students. You will remember this. My son, when he played at Pauley High School, was a champion, CIF champion, all-city. And so I can tell you it's something that you will carry with you for the rest of your lives. Congratulations, continued success in all the other endeavors. Now that you know how to achieve success, you should apply it to everything else in life. God bless, continued success. Jeff, you're awesome, dude.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Mr. Cardenas, coach, and the assistant coaches, the administration, the players, the students, this is a wonderful time for you to think back to the heat of the summer in August, and even before that in the spring, how hard you worked to get here. And every game you had was a fight. But you have a great teacher who's your coach. Mr. Carter said it's Manual Arts and it's Sylmar and other areas. Growing up in the San Fernando Valley, as you did, Jeff, with you are to be credited. There is nothing like a coach. A coach is someone you're going to remember all your life. And I'm looking at other future coaches out there to do what Jeff and his assistants taught you to help other young people. Because this is the type of activity the city of Los Angeles is very proud of. And I'm proud you're city champs because no one could ever take that away from you. Congratulations, congratulations to the administration as well. Coach, it's a wonderful tribute in the history of Los Angeles and what you've done at many schools. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and we'd love to hear from you, Coach.
As everyone said, this has been a team effort from starting with the administration's support, which we couldn't have done anything without, my assistant coaches, and especially the ball players who bought into the program, and to think that 3 years ago, most of them didn't know how to do a coin toss, and now they're the city champs. So it's a credit to them by far. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. It also gives me special pride in my connection with Arleta High School. Not only is it in my council district and a few blocks away from my home, but my staff just reminded me that this is one of the 17 schools that was built in the San Fernando Valley when I had to change the law in Sacramento to allow LAUSD to have access to the state bond funds. And with that change of law, we were able to get $600 million, over $600 million into LAUSD, and Arleta High School was built with that money. So it is very special to see. And we all knew if you build it, not only will they come, but if you build it, they will excel. So congratulations. young people. Coach, I'd like at least one of these young people to say something on their behalf. Okay, Ray? Was this the captain or what? Yeah. All right. Step up.
Well, I just want to say thank you for inviting us up here, all of you guys, especially you, being down in our area. And I just want to say how special it was for us to come together as a team and have everybody in Arleta come and help us out. We had the Arleta Neighborhood Council. We had everybody that lived in the area, all the football team, parents, coaches, the whole staff. Everybody came together, and I think that's the reason why we won the championship, because it was not only us, we had everybody supporting us. I just want to say thank you to you and everybody else for having us today. It's an honor for us to be here. So on behalf of everybody, once again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Down on the back.
All right. I brought $600 million and I got this shirt. We have another special presentation that surrounds this football team and what Tom said, having to do with coaches and teachers. Fred Grimes, 33 years, and he's finally retiring, and we're sad to see him go. Fred, come on up. Oh, and his family's here? Coming up, please, please. Come on, gentlemen, make some room. Come on up. Thank you very much. I want the family to be here because when you do anything for 3 years or 33 years, again, you don't do it by yourself. Somebody let you do it, right?
No question.
Somebody gave you permission. When you're married, it's about getting permission to do what you do. Fred graduated from Pauley High School in the winter of 1966. He enlisted in the U.S. Navy. He spent 2 years in Japan in communications and played on both the baseball and football teams, traveling to other countries with the team. In 1971, upon discharge from the Navy, he enrolled at Los Angeles Valley College, where he played football for 2 years. Coach Grimes was a prolific junior college football player at only 5'8" and 150 pounds. He led the state in several offensive categories, specifically passing completions and passing efficiency. And according to the Valley News at the time, they quote, and I quote, they said he was one of the top passers in the state. In one game in 1971 against Long Beach City College, Fred shattered a previous 4-game records and season records. Most passing yards in a game, 431 yards. Most total offense in a game, 431 yards. Most completions in a game, 30. And most attempts in a game, 52. He led the state in passing efficiency and was recognized nationally for his completion records. He transferred to the California State University Northridge, where he played football for 2 years and earned a degree in physical education. He became a champion high school and college football coach at several schools in the San Fernando Valley. The schools are Pierce Community College, Manual Arts High School, St. Genevieve's High School, Granada Hills High School, North Hollywood High School, Chaminade High School, Kennedy High School, and now at Arleta High School. In his final year as an assistant coach, he helped Arleta High School win its first AAA City Invitational Championship, and I say again, they went 14-0. He enjoyed various championships along the way. His most memorable moments include developing many young players, including former NFL QB Eric Kramer, and at Kennedy High School, Cal Zink, and also a young man who shattered John Elway's records here in Los Angeles when he was a quarterback at Kennedy High School. Ruben Zaragoza was one of his students. Fred Grimes resides in Valencia and has been happily married for 15 years to Maggie Grimes and enjoys spending time with his son Mike and daughter Morgan. The only grass this coach, Fred Grimes, is going to be going to from here on out is the golf courses. And I'm going to pitch in front of everybody else, Coach. There's a couple of high schools that need a part-time golf coach. So I'm going to be talking to you and asking you to ask your wife for some permission, maybe spend a little bit of time with some of these young people here in my district. Once again, congratulations, Fred Grimes, on your wonderful, wonderful career and your commitment. And it's just wonderful to see somebody that in your first year I'm sure you had the same attitude that you have in your 33rd year. All too often, people talk about burnout. And I'll tell you what, Fred Grimes, with this championship, proved that he is not burnt out. He's a man who gives 110% of his heart and his mind and his soul in everything that he does. And for that, we congratulate you. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Like I said, I'm kind of speechless about a lot of this. I was very, very fortunate in my life in that I knew early on what I wanted to do. If I say anything to these young men here that I've just loved being with these last few years, it's just follow your dreams, no matter what anyone says. Work hard at it. Coach Engelman just always used the phrase, buy into it, we'll lead you, and he did. I thank the administration. I couldn't be with a better administration with Dr. Calvo and Ms. Rickman and the other administrators at our school. And like I said, you find people that you know are good people and follow them, and they'll lead you in the right way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me give you a certificate. This is for you, a resolution on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, signed by all the elected officials of the City of Los Angeles and the city clerk, so you can commemorate your 30 years of service. And there's a few whereases and art thous, and I'm sure you're familiar with them, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And to our young people, Ruben, can you give me one of the framed certificates? We're going to go on the back here and take some pictures with these champions. And each one of the students, you're going to get one of these certificates. Like this one is to Danny Kelly. We're going to give each one of you one of these, and we're going to go on the back and take some pictures and have some fun.
And Mr. Cardenas, we had one other council member who wanted to add his good wishes. So, Mr. Rosendahl, did you want to say a couple things?
Yeah, before you all leave, I just want to make two comments. First of all, Coach, where's the coach? Where is he standing? Coach, let me say something that what you've done over the years for young people will be traveling with their energy for the rest of their lives. And young folks, let me tell you this. The experience you had of being champions and being disciplined and sacrificing and winning, what that does is set up in your soul and in your body and in your mind a sense of confidence and, you know, to use an Obama phrase, yes, we can. Okay? So, yes, we can. You can take this energy right now from being champs and be a champ in your life in absolutely everything you do. There's nothing you can't do. You can be down at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue if you want, but you can be chairman of the board. You can be a philanthropic person with wealth. You can be a social worker, a teacher. You could be anything you want to be, because collectively, your energy was so powerful and so amazing. And with the coaches' blessing, encouragement, and mentoring, you're set. You have the building blocks in you now for the bigger challenges in life, which are the challenges of making a success with it. So congratulations to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And thank you, Mr. Cardenas.
Go.
All right. Our next presentation is a joint presentation from Council Districts 9 and 11 on the Convention Center. I'd like to recognize Council Members Perry and Rosendahl.
Mr. Rosendahl.
And as folks go out, if we could just remind folks as much as possible to keep conversations to a minimum to be able to hear the presentations. Thank you so much, and congratulations again to our Arleta Mustangs, our city champions. Ms. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I am standing here with my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl, and we are joined by employees of the Los Angeles Convention Center who are all very instrumental in the center's recent designation as Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design more commonly known as LEED certified by the United States Green Building Council. The world-class Los Angeles Convention Center achieved certification with an unprecedented record within an 18-month period. This made the convention center, our convention center, the first United States Convention Center and the first City of Los Angeles building of age and size to garner such an honored national Earth-friendly distinction. The LEED program is a national feature-oriented rating system that awards buildings points for satisfying specified green building criteria within 6 major environmental categories, including sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, indoor environmental quality, and innovation and design. The Los Angeles Convention Center Green Team is comprised of talented subject matter experts from various administrative and technical backgrounds established to serve the Los Angeles Convention Center in its commitment to being a leader in environmental stewardship. So Bill and I wanted to commend them today for working so hard to ensure that our city and our convention center are ahead of the curve when it comes to environmental sustainability. The LEED certification at our convention center sets us apart as a green city, and it was the right thing for us to do, and it will be a strong marketing tool as we compete in a growing eco-friendly and environmentally sensitive economy. So before we welcome them to the podium, I'd like to ask Mr. Rosendahl to say a few words.
First of all, I want to thank my colleague Jan Perry for providing the leadership on this council to go green on absolutely everything we do. I'm very excited today, frankly, because of what has just happened in Washington and the positive energy floating through the entire earth. And what we are experiencing with our convention center is a first. Here is a huge complex, something that people look at, go to, enjoy from all over the world. And to retrofit a building, which isn't easy to retrofit a building, it's easier sometimes to just tear it down and start afresh. But to take an existing building so that you don't waste anything, you don't throw things away, and you retrofit it and make it green is amazing. This is the kind of activity that we should do with all government facilities, all public buildings throughout the nation, and I dare say throughout the world. So as people go to Los Angeles, they go down to the convention center, and they realize it's green, that it is the right thing, they will take that energy back to wherever they came from and talk to their city officials and their county and their state officials. Can't we take this building and make it green? Can't we take that building and make it green? I also have the pleasure with Ms. Hahn and Mr. Labange to sit on a committee that deals with the modernization of LAX. And in that modernization, under the leadership of Ms. Hahn, we are going green with the Tom Bradley Terminal. We're spending a lot of money in making it a beautiful building. We're going to spend almost $850 million, but we're talking about it being green as well. So with the leadership of this great guy here, we've done it at the Convention Center, and with Gina Marie Lindsay, we're going to be doing it at the airport. And thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. And so
and we have a couple council members as well, Ms. Hahn and then Mr. Labange. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I just wanted to stand and give a great shout out to our convention center under the great leadership of Perea to take this facility, which, as you said, Councilwoman Rosendahl, is kind of an older facility, and to have really reinvented it to be a LEED certified convention center is such an accomplishment. And I'm so proud of how we did that. It certainly took a lot of staff time, a lot of energy, the good kind of energy, to really let us be able to be proud of something and putting our money where our mouth is. We want to be an environmentally conscious city, and the fact that our convention center has been certified as a LEED certified building is so important. We've talked about this before. I want to take this great example of us being good environmental stewards and move it outwards to the conventions that actually come to Los Angeles. So we want you to come up with incentive plans for conventions from all over the world to come here, and hopefully we can incentivize rates or something else so that when someone comes here to hold their convention, they will be conscious of reducing their carbon footprint from the moment they leave their hometowns till they come here in Los Angeles and participate in their convention in a LEED certified building. I think this is excellent. We're very, very proud of you. It gives us great bragging rights really around the world to take a facility like that and make it so beautifully environmentally conscious. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
General Manager Abbasi and all the staff there, Ms. Perry, Mr. Rosendahl, this is a good day for you, and it helps to reach these type of achievements, just like the city champs that Mr. Cardis just honored, the Mustangs of Arleta High School. To know that you're this level here is so important, because the people who do go, and it's not just the people from Los Angeles who go to the convention center, but from around the world, see that we have a standard. Last night I was at the art show. It was a great show. I talked to all the folks who are from around the world who came from Korea, Germany, and Argentina, and other places. And as I left the art show, I saw the workers of the convention center lining up the hall in the Petrie Hall, lining up the seats for another event. The dynamics that, much to the credit to Ms. Perry, have been created by LA Live, is now going to be a fusion of good things for people. And our convention center and the green element is so important. So I congratulate you, especially all the workers. All the workers and those 7 or 8 fellas I saw last night just lining up the chair for another event. It's a teamwork effort there. General Manager, congratulations to you and all your staff.
Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Perry.
And I'd like to introduce our General Manager of the Convention Center, Mr. Puriya Abbasi.
Great.
Good morning, Council. I really want to appreciate both Councilmember Perry and Rosenthal for bestowing this great acknowledgement on the Convention Center. It is your Convention Center. It's the City of Los Angeles. It does belong to all Angelinos. I just wanted to take a few seconds and just put this accomplishment in perspective. Prior to the Los Angeles Convention Center attaining the LEED certification for existing buildings, there were 100 buildings in the nation for a total of 4.1 million square feet, for a total of 6 million square feet that were LEED certified. Convention Center, when it was added to that list, added 4.1 million square feet of additional space in the nation that is LEED certified. It could not have been done if it wasn't for the team that is standing behind me. So if I may, I just wanted to take a moment to read out the names of the team member and acknowledge the work that they did within an amazing 18-month period. We have Ray Castro, our Chief Building Operating Engineer, Agnes Coe, our Senior Management Analyst, Gail Osley, Greg Lessau, the Convention Center Building Superintendent, too, which is going to actually be retiring from the Convention Center after 25 years of service, Dwayne Gornicki, the Head of Food Services Operation, Tom Fields and Steve Poddick, the Convention Center Superintendent 1s, Kevin Rodriguez, our Senior Plumber, Alan Warr, Building Repair Supervisor, Stan Snyder, also Building Repair Supervisor, and Brad Atwell, our Architectural Associate. But again, I just want to underline the excellence that you see here is what we try to reflect every day to all those that come and visit our facility. And again, thank you again.
Just give this to you.
Thank you again and congratulations, and very proud of all the work of the Convention Center and this important threshold. With that, we'll return to our Commissioner hearing. If we can ask our nominee to come forward on item 32. Before that, we have a couple cards from the public, and as we clear out from our presentations, which we will return to in a little bit, Arnold Sachs, if you'd like to come forward, and then Lee Wallach, and then Zuma Dog. Our first speaker public will be Arnold Sachs, and then we will, because of time, we're going to have to, I usually can't accommodate that, but if you don't mind coming forward first, please. Thank you. And we'll recognize Ms. Perry to open the debate after we hear from our 3 public comment cards on this item. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. I apologize.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Council. Sir, I don't know if you followed the recent articles in the LA Times in December but there was some discussion regarding the solar panel initiative that's being pushed by the council and some city members and DWP. And there was a study that was done saying that it could be cost prohibitive. So I was just wondering what your stand is on that, if you consider the fact that the study wasn't presented to the public or the council, and the public had a chance to hear about it before the council acted on it. I'd also like to know what what you consider, since you just heard about.
And I'll pause your time, but if just protocol-wise, if you'll address the council about him and instead of directly addressing him, thank you.
Then I would like to know his ideas or his opinion regarding the LEED certification at the convention center and why that's not being done, or is it being done by DWP workers as is being requested for the other city buildings. I'd also like to know his opinion regarding the greening at LAX, and if that work is being done by the DWP or outside contractors, and also at the harbor where they're pushing for greening and low and high energy and maintenance and all those programs that go along with it. And if those three projects are not being done by the LADWP, then why should the public look at a ballot measure and give other city properties to DWP? What's your opinion on those, and what's your ideas? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Lee Wallach. And after that will be Zuma Dog. Morning, Mr. Wallach.
Good morning. Thank you. And welcome back. It's good that we have the right people in office, whether we're here or whether we're in Washington. I won't compare our current gentleman to what's happening in Washington, but this is darn close. I've known Jonathan for many years. We have an opportunity now, and I commend our mayor and this body to put a real enviro on the DWP Commission. Here's a gentleman who I might not always agree with, but has the ethics, has the fortitude, and has the ability to get the job done there. So I again thank our leadership and this city for coming back, rushing back from Washington for this very special moment. And at least I know I speak for many, many environmentalists, and you've seen some of the paperwork, that we are very, very proud of this gentleman. He would make a great dog catcher. DWP commissioner. And we're very happy that he's here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Zuma Dog is our last speaker.
Yes, first of all, I'd like council to warn this commissioner, if appointed, that expect massive defaulting on the payments of the DWP bills. The trash collection fees have tripled, and there's the bills will be skyrocketing due to water shortages, due to your high density. So expect the bills not to be paid, much less revenue. Now, regarding the appointment, what I'd like City Council to ask this appointee in a debate is the position on Measure B. Some concerns I have is that the mayor just is having this Measure B. There's been no competitive bids. However, the mayor has just handed the contract to one union, and I want to know how the commissioner feels about this Measure B, that it will drive up the DWP bill at a time when people are already hit with the big crunch. And also, I want to know how the commissioner feels about the report that in the LA Times, Eric Garcetti withheld from council that scrutinizes it hammered Measure B for being extremely risky. There seems to be no plan to accomplish this goal, and it's going to drive up costs, and it's a big bamboozle as far as what I've heard. And I would like to also know what this commissioner would feel if he found out that Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa is receiving pennies per kilowatt in the solar deal Measure B. I would like to know, again, how the commissioner would feel if it was discovered that the mayor was receiving pennies per kilowatt on this Measure B solar deal. That's why I believe it's being done in China, because in China you can donate money to a private individual in a Dubai bank account And that's how you, and I'd like to know if you found out, because Zuma Dog investigative reporter would like to ask that question, how he'd feel about that. And also, I'd like the commissioner, if appointed, to warn City Council. I'd like City Council to ask the commissioner to warn Council about the high-density projects at the water scarcity. There's not enough water to fund for all the projects they're doing. More at ZumaTimes.com.
Thank you. And just as a point of information, there was no report. There are 6 bullet points that were publicly asked here in Council for the record. Ms. Perry is the chair of our Energy and Environment Committee, and she will open our deliberations. Ms. Gruhl and Mr. Rosendahl are also on the queue. And thank you, Mr. Parfrey, for putting yourself forward for this nomination. Ms. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Parfrey was before our Energy and Environment Committee. We had a very good conversation because he has a strong background in environmental advocacy as director of the Green LA Coalition, which is a part of the Liberty Hill Foundation, and I want to publicly thank him for volunteering to serve on the board of the Department of Water and Power Commission. And we asked him in committee, I'll ask him to give just a minute or two about what he does as director of the Green LA Commission, and hold my time.
Thank you, Council President Garcetti, and thank you, Council Member Perry. The Green LA Coalition is Los Angeles' premier environmental coalition. There are over 100 organizations that are members of this coalition, and we work to improve environmental policy within the Los Angeles area.
Thank you. We also had a very good and candid conversation about the recent establishment of some of the ethics rules that are in effect over at the Department of Water and Power, and I wanted to make sure that Mr. Parfrey was aware, and he was, and how he felt he would reconcile his role as a commissioner and, if the need arises, recuse himself from issues that may have passed before him in his position as executive director of the Green LA Coalition. So if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Perry. The 3 areas that I think are critical in identifying on recusal are areas where there is financial conflicts of interest, where there is the appearance of a conflict of interest, where an organization associated with Liberty Hill or with the Green LA Coalition has a specific project before the DWP board. I also am cognizant that all lobbying is prohibited by commissioners, and that would entail that in my capacity as director of Green LA, I could not have direct communication with city officials, and I am happy to accommodate those mandates by the city.
And then lastly, last comment or question is, given your background and expertise, what do you think you bring to the table regarding the DWP Solar Initiative?
Again, thank you for that question. I am very enthusiastic about the DWP Solar Initiative. The comprehensive plan plans to put 1,280 megawatts of solar power into the grid. That will be 10% of the power delivered to DWP customers by the year 2020. A part of that, 400 megawatts of that 1,280, is proposed as a piece of legislation to be voted on by the voters on March 3rd, and that's Measure B. Personally, I am very strongly in favor of this measure, as I believe that it'll provide tremendous benefits to the ratepayers, and it will help on environmental matters. And in addition to that, what I'm most excited about Measure B is that it internalizes the development and production of solar power within the utility itself. And I think that would be a tremendous benefit to all the people in Los Angeles.
And then, if I can get your commitment on the solar initiative itself and educating the ratepayers about the importance of it. Is that something that you can participate in as a commissioner and still not cause a conflict to yourself and your primary employment?
Yes. Thank you, Council Member. I do indeed want to continue conversations with the city attorney so that I am adhering to the letter of the law in any advocacy that I engage in related to the promotion of Measure B. It's my personal opinion that it's a very sound and wise measure, and I want to be certain that I abide by all laws related to conflicts related to that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Gruhl, and after that is Mr. Rosendahl. Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Parfrey, we're very happy about your appointment as far as someone who has demonstrated the knowledge and the experience and even more importantly the commitment on the issue of greening Los Angeles and the important role that the Department of Water and Power plays in that. If you could in a summary, talk about, as you're going in as a DWP commissioner, and as you look at it from our intent of making Los Angeles the cleanest, greenest big city in America, what role the DWP can play, what you think your imprint is going to be on that, as we look at the challenge of reaching that 20% by 2010 of renewable energy. When you look at the fact of AB 32 implementation, look at the competition we are having for green, and renewable energy, and how that relates, and as we talk about solar and wind and a variety of things. So a big question, but I just kind of get your sense of what you think are going to be some of the priorities as an environmentalist serving on, I know you have other skills, but coming in as an environmentalist from your organization. And just hold my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gruhl. Yes, right now there is a tremendous crisis facing America. We have a terrible economic crisis. We have a global warming environmental crisis that we're facing. And on top of that, we have a water crisis here in Southern California. And we have the mandates under AB 32 to wean ourselves off of fossil fuels. And it's my view that I bring some familiarity with these various technologies that are being promoted and discussed within the Department of Water and Power. And I can bring that also my attention to detail to help the department achieve those goals. Let me just give you an example. The solar plan as it was released was talking about moving from 13 megawatts of solar power that we have today to 130 megawatts of residential solar power by the year 2016. But to achieve those goals, the department is recommending the addition, to move it tenfold over a few years, of only 3 additional personnel. And I think it would be my role as a commissioner to press on the department to create work plans that are actually feasible and doable and get the job done. So I think that I can dedicate myself to helping the department accomplish these very important goals. The mayor has set out a goal of getting to 20% renewable power by the year 2010. That's just a year away. Yeah. The mayor has also said that we're going to get to 35% renewable power by 2020. And to do that, we need to find renewable resources that we can rely on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we need to take advantage of those new technologies that are currently being developed. And we have to push for developing resources that may be even outside of the LA basin in order to reach that 35% goal. So I really hope to bring this passion and this expertise to the position of commissioner.
And again, I think the renewable energy, and we have, Ms. Perry as the leader of this committee has looked at having periodic updates as to how we're going to get to that, because 2010 is, as you say, is less than a year away now, that we have to be able to reach that renewable goal. And historically, there has been a lot of talk about having renewable energy, but I think circumstances have changed dramatically where we're now competing for that renewable energy and to be able to get to that level. And that changes the dynamics of where we're going. One of the other issues I have heard recently from people out there, from residential to commercial to developers and others, is the process sometimes of getting through DWP. That sometimes getting through planning and building and safety, but all of a sudden they get over there, and so that is one issue. If you can look at as well from a perspective of how do we make sure that the bureaucratic red tape is cut through, and how do we ensure to the public that that there's a responsive DWP as well to that. We made some major progress over the last few years. And I think because this council has pushed to say to have customer service and some of the challenges we faced when there were the heat waves here in Los Angeles. So I want to continue to have that as a priority, as well as ensuring our ratepayers that they're getting what they're paying for, and the importance of it also being reliable energy and cost-effective for the community. And I think as we go forward on renewable energy, sometimes those things are competing. And so I think an educational process, and I know I happened to be in the DWP building a few weeks ago, and they were reaching out to the neighborhood councils. That's a great way in which they need to keep that connection going. So I support your appointment there, and look forward to your role and the place that you'll play. There are many other environmentalists on the board, but I think you'll probably have that moniker of being an environmentalist coming before you do. But support this nomination very, very solidly.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be with you, Jonathan, an old friend. Go back 20-something years. Known you when you were a constituent in the Palisades, too, as well as your brother Adam, who is an amazing publisher and artist in his own right. So the two of you have been contributing dramatically to the quality of life for all of us. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilman.
Two questions. Let's talk about water. It's raining today, but it's like not really raining. It's kind of drizzling. We have a huge drought. It is only getting worse. We are in a desert here in Southern California. We love it here. It is beautiful. Where do we take this whole water business going forward? The recycling, just figuring out how we make the most of it. What's your overall positioning on how we deal with the water crisis we're in? Hold my time.
Thank you, Council Member. I wholly agree that we are in a terrible water crisis. Due to global warming, there has been a reduction in snowmelt from the Sierra Nevada, where the department derives much of its water resources. In addition, there is problems related to state water, where the endangered smelt is prohibiting the importation into Southern California of water from the California Delta. In addition, the Colorado River water is becoming more scarce. So we sort of have the perfect non-storm, or the perfect storm that isn't raining. And we have to make changes. I'm very pleased with the mayor's water plan. I thought that the request for mandatory ordinances in use of water was a very smart move. I believe that moving towards recycled water, if done in accordance with public health, is an excellent way of delivering water to the people of Los Angeles. I would be the first in line to drink a glass of recycled water, given the technologies of reverse osmosis and other technologies that would secure that water from bacteria.
And how about all our streets we pave and alleys and parking lots? How do we make them more porous so that the water actually goes into the aquifer?
I think this is a very important point, and this is a collaboration, I think, that would be operated by the Department of Public Works with the Department of Water and Power, which is to work collaboratively to capture stormwater that is now going out into the drains and out into the sea, that we can filtrate that water and replenish our aquifers with the stormwater that we do receive.
How do we deal with the farmers? We have the best farming basket of the planet in our big valley, but they waste a lot of water. They don't have enough tiling, enough conservation, and they get it extremely cheap compared to what the urban dwellers. And they also plant cotton and rice that should be planted in the south where the rains are, not in that area there. How do we deal with the agricultural interests?
Well, I believe that the department can play a role in trying to influence the state regulators that would have oversight over the farmers, where specifically the Department of Water and Power might not have that authorization.
Measure B is on the ballot. It's controversial. I, of course, voted to put it on the ballot. I'm still in the process of trying to understand it enough to see where I go. I'm going to hold a community meeting on February 17th at the Daniel Webster Middle School with DWP as a forum. I'd love for you to come to that meeting and help us through it. The bigger issues that a lot of my constituents ask is how much is it going to cost? I actually believe that solar is the future. We are sunny Southern California. I have a flat roof, and so do my other neighbors. We'd like to have solar panels on it. Just in a broad stroke, not the measure, why is solar a good idea for us?
Well, as you noted, Council Member, the sun is the fuel that we don't have to buy. It is plentiful in Southern California. It is abundant. And it's my view that when the utility actually owns the asset, it accrues benefits to the ratepayers themselves over time. And this is why I'm a strong proponent of Measure B. When the department may buy other solar resources, they may enter into a contract that would last 5 years, it could last 10 years. But at the end of that period, at the end of 5 years, the end of 10 years, those benefits no longer accrue to the ratepayers. That resource can be sold off to another utility. And so it's my view that this program will actually aid the ratepayers of Los Angeles, and so that's why I'm a strong supporter.
Well, I want to thank the mayor, first of all. His legacy, there'll be lots of legacies for Antonio Villaraigosa, but one of them will be appointing people to commissions and boards and general managers who are thinkers and doers and true professionals who care, and you're one of them. Last question for you is, why do you want this job?
Thank you, Council Member. I have to tell you, I am sort of chronically into public service. I don't have a better answer. I actually believe in the benefits of serving the community and trying to make Los Angeles a better city. I actually believe that.
Well, thank you for stepping to the plate. We're honored that you've stepped to the plate. You're a terrific addition to that board. Bless you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Alarcon. Mr. Alarcon, followed by Mr. Reyes, Mr. Garcetti, then Ms. Hahn.
I think by the questions, the Council is very well aware of your tremendous track record on creating opportunities for greening Los Angeles and with good business logic as well. So, Jonathan, let me also reflect my commendations to you for being a champion of greening the environment. We've talked about, and you participated in the press conference we had on the Green Business Certification Program. I'm assuming you will be a champion on those efforts. But I wanted to raise the attention of the City Council that you are also a champion on social justice issues, that you were actually weaned from the Catholic Worker Program and have a long-standing understanding of environmental justice and issues related to that. And as Councilmember Huizar and I are well aware, we have been working with the DWP and, in fact, cajoling the DWP. And even to the extent of, quite honestly, I didn't vote for, and I voted for every single nomination by the mayor except for your predecessor, because of the track record of DWP's ability to provide the discount rates to qualified, eligible people, ratepayers in Los Angeles. The penetration rates of how many people have now been qualified have increased, and I'm very pleased, but we need your championship. And in fact, I want to say publicly that Mr. Pastores was the person who sort of defibrillated the process to get us back on track with identifying people, taking, for example, people who are in HACLA housing and automatically qualifying them for the discount, which makes a lot of sense. So I just want you to make a statement about how you believe that is part of the agenda that you will address coming in as commissioner.
Well, thank you very much, Councilmember Alarcon. I'm proud of my record working on environmental justice issues. When I was director of the organization Physicians for Social Responsibility for 13 years, I helped move that organization with key staff members to turn this prestigious Nobel Peace Prize winning anti-nuclear organization into an environmental justice organization that cares very deeply about social issues and the impacts of the environment on the poor. And it's my view, and I'm passionate about this, that we do need to increase the low-income sign-ups within that program. I asked the general manager, as a preparation for this meeting, to give me specific numbers for calendar year 2008. And I'm happy to report that there's been an increase of 30,000 sign-ups in the low-income program. And it's my deep concern to even increase those numbers so that the poorest people in Los Angeles are not saddled with high rates.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes?
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank you for your service, and I'm very glad that the array of experiences you bring to the table will allow at least one board member to start connecting different pieces that makes a healthy city. You know, I just come from a funeral where a 4-year-old was shot and killed in the Temple Boundary area. And I bring that up because there's a statement that Father Boyle says repeatedly, nothing stops a bullet better than a job. And here we have a major economic engine. Here we have a stimulus package that's being touted by our President Obama. We have a list that we just voted for today. 6 years ago, Department of Water and Power supported this effort of the river revitalization with the $3 million study. Now we're in a place where we could actually, it's conceivable if the political will was there, to bring forth the type of changes that allows us to streamline the types of new changes along the river corridor and in the river that can create jobs. Back in the 30s, in the throes of depression, hundreds and hundreds of men and women were put to work in lining that channel. It was one purpose only: get the water out, flood control, period. Today, we are much wiser. We could be much more creative and create multiple purposes for that river corridor. But the Department of Water and Power, I believe, has a strong role and a strong leveraging factor in how we provide our local share with these federal funds and actually create the type of environment where we can reevaluate the role of that river. Imagine the hundreds of jobs we can create if we put the shovel into the dirt and actually start creating these changes. We can create jobs for our youth, create jobs for our neighborhoods. We can deal with water quality. We can identify new opportunities for water storage. We can look at how we can reconnect the gray water into our neighborhoods to rejuvenate our aquifers if we had the political will. Both the federal, state, county, and the city government to work together. A master plan is there. Now we need to implement. As your role of board, do you see that type of challenge? And do you see yourself committing to an effort of that nature for the next 3 to 6 months, which are critical months for our economy? Please hold my time.
Thank you, Councilmember Reyes. And the answer is a very strong yes. I would see myself as an advocate for developing this magnificent resource that we have in our midst, which is the Los Angeles River. And I want to thank you for your leadership on this. This is something that's very dear to my heart.
In terms of your work with the Liberty Foundation and other background experiences, do you see the nonprofit sector getting, at least playing a role in how we can leverage these resources to create these opportunities, not only dealing with the water issue and the mission of the Department of Water and Power, both the electric side and the water side, but also dealing with the ancillary benefits of creating jobs?
Well, I think I'm here to, in a capacity of being a commissioner at DWP, but if you're asking me for my opinion as how the nonprofit groups could respond, my answer is a very strong yes, because the nonprofit groups that I've been associated with have taken a keen interest in the economic stimulus infrastructure package that is now moving through Congress, and has tried to play a role to influence how those funds would be spent, not so much for what my friend Andy Lipkis calls gray projects that would be holding up the old paradigm of the old century of building new freeways rather than building public transportation, of going back to building concrete channels rather than capturing stormwater. So we want to move from these old gray projects into this new day where we have green projects and smart green projects. And I do believe that the nonprofit community is very aware of this and is working very hard both in Los Angeles and at the federal level in D.C. to try to affect those changes.
Well, God willing, the next 4 years, I'm still here to push hard for those kinds of efforts. But I'm hoping that with this new board, with your leadership, that we can connect the dots and actually create these new jobs while dealing with these green products, these green policies, and actually change the face of the city and connect with those neighborhoods who right now are not only suffering even more so, but have been suffering for decades. And that river corridor, with Department of Water and Power's leadership, I believe can change not only the social factor, the whole environmental movement in a positive way, but also provide hope and jobs for youth. And that's a goal that I'll be pushing for the next few years. So I look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti, followed by Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, and I'll be brief. I just want to thank the mayor for an extraordinary nomination. Jonathan, you're one of the finest environmentalists in the city, and I very much enjoyed working with you on a number of initiatives, and I think your leadership at DWP, it's critical what you said earlier. We really need now to implement. We've set green visions, but we're a vision-setting body. You guys implement it. So I think we should be ambitious with wind. We should be ambitious with solar. The worst that we can do is fall a little short, but still be ahead of anybody else, and that is important. But there's really three or four things that guide the work that I think this council has done, and certainly myself. One is value for the ratepayer, 2 is reliability, and 3 is greening our utility. And those 3 are intensely tied with one another. I think after our brownouts that we had and blackouts in many cases, it was a very dispiriting couple of years where we heard a lot from the department that they do better with customer service lines, that they figure out a way to be more reliable. That is tied into the sort of grid that we have. That's why solar power is so important, to have distributed power that helps guard against blackouts exactly at those most expensive moments and cost all the ratepayers money. And greening goes together with value because the long-term costs of living cheaply in the short term, we all know, and you've worked very hard on those issues with asthma and cancer rates, and they might not be in our communities, but they're in other communities, and we have a common responsibility. On the water side, I wish, and I just respectfully would disagree with one of the speakers from public comment, it's not building of housing that adds density. The years that we never build any housing, the density still comes. It's managing our water better. And the fact that we're consuming the same amount of water with 1 million plus people more because of low flow toilets, because of the utilities that we've put in is very important. But also, now really, and this I think Council will be working very aggressively and would love to work with you on this. This coming year we're going to be looking at mandatory waterless urinals, looking at some of the things that pay themselves back within a year for a building owner, but many folks at first resist and then realize, wow, that really can save me money. And that's the best thing about the solar power. It's the best thing about our water conservation is it actually puts money back in the pockets of folks. But my last point, I would just say, and if you wanted to speak to this very briefly, the department has traditionally been a real economic engine and an environmental engine, and it's fallen away from both of those. It helped to found the Chamber of Commerce, VICA. It really established, I think, the best protocol of working with neighborhood councils of any big department, which was very important. But it also was great on environmental stuff, and I think it was mentioned by Ms. Perry or Ms. Gruhl, it took us so long just to get compact fluorescent light bulbs out to everybody after we told the department was going to do that time after time after time again. Ms. Perry remembers those hearings over and over and over again. We need DWP to be green tomorrow, and it can't just be a section of the department anymore. It has to wash through the entire organization. And so anything you can do to help really drive the green economy, coming back from Washington, that's all people were talking about. They're excited about our solar efforts, they're excited about our wind efforts, but they're also looking to us as a public utility to do that in a way that sets the standard. So if you had any last comments on that, I'd love to hear it, but congratulations, and you have my very strong support.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Garcetti. This city is getting a bad rap on its environmental activism. I think that our trash recycling rates are higher than any other major city. And when I describe some of the projects that the Department of Sanitation is engaged in, and in collaboration with the Department of Water and Power, such as the Hyperion Power Plant, where solid waste is biodigested and the methane is then fed over to the Scattergood facility to operate and create electricity, to actually almost have 80% of the waste treatment facility essentially off the grid is a superb program, and it should be held up as a light to the rest of the nation. When I describe the tire project that the Department of Sanitation has at Terminal Island, and how there is carbon sequestration through this process, and then electricity that is then fed back into the grid. These are the exciting projects that the city has, and we need to take our light out from under a bushel basket. We need to let the people of Los Angeles know that the city can be a leader in the environmental arena, and it would be my goal to push the department quite forcefully to meet the mayor's very high standards that have been set forth. I mean, we have promised the people of Los Angeles that we will reduce greenhouse gases by 35% under 1990 levels by the year 2030. That's 5% more aggressive than any other major city in the United States. We have a lot of work cut out for ourselves, and we have to deliver and not make these things simply promises, but to actually put programs in place, and that is what I plan to dedicate myself towards. Thank you.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm very, very impressed, Jonathan, really with your background and particularly the list of supporters that have come together to support your appointment. I mean, Global Green, Heal the Bay, LA Chamber of Commerce, Natural Resources Defense Council, Coalition for Clean Air, the Tree People, Communities for a Better Environment, LA Neighborhood Land Trust, League of Conservation Voters, the County Bicycle Coalition, the Communities for Environmental Justice. You've got business, you've got labor groups, you've got all my friends in the environmental community really applauding our mayor for choosing you as an appointment. So I really feel like you're in such good position, and in a position to position DWP. Listening to what you just said about how we get a bad rap, I would like to see LA better positioned for our efforts, not only our efforts, our track record, our results. To really make this a green city. A couple of the issues that I am really into, and Eric Garcetti mentioned a little bit, is our relationship with neighborhood councils, clearly. And even on the solar program in Measure B, a lot of complaints that we didn't kind of do the outreach that we've been so chastised for in the past, really kind of bringing everybody on board with these. So I'd like you to speak to a little bit about how we can do a better job communicating with the public. The other thing is I really do think we're in a crisis situation with water, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on how we might get ahead of the curve with water conservation particularly. I've been an advocate of, not very popular in the city, with kind of relooking at our rate structure. I'm one of those that believes people should pay for the water they use. I know we've got into a history in the city of subsidizing or treating differently certain geographical parts of the city that maybe were hotter. We actually were giving a break to people who had pools and large lawns and large lots. And again, I think it's time for people to pay for the water they use. And I think that will probably do more towards reducing our water usage than anything. So I'd like to hear your two thoughts on those issues. But I will say I overwhelmingly support your appointment and really feel like you're in a unique position to lead DWP forward as well as the city in what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you very much, Council Member. And also thank you for your leadership at the Port of Los Angeles. The environmental community is very much appreciates that. I believe that the Board of Commissioners has a lot of authority vested in it. The Board of Commissioners, and I'm looking at the city charter, when it talks about the role of the general manager, that the general manager is there to enforce the orders, rules, and regulations adopted by the board, that the general manager there is to supervise, but it's only on projects that are authorized and ordered by the board, that the general manager is there to carry out duties of the department delegated by the board. The charter, in my view, is very, very clear that there is tremendous authority vested with the Board of Water and Power Commissioners.
I wrote the charter.
Well, it's a beautiful document. And the point that I'm making, and to answer your question, is that, in my view, the general manager should have brought the plan related to Measure B before the Board of Water and Power Commissioners. And I feel that this is something that should have been demanded, perhaps, by the board president at the time. So there was a breakdown in communication there. And it's my sense that there has been a strange conspiracy theory spun out of whole cloth, I have to say, where the good intentions have gotten horribly misread. It is my view that we now need to look at Measure B on its merits. And on its merits, it is needed for the economy. It is needed to meet upcoming standards set by the state of California. It is needed to improve the health of people in Los Angeles. And it is needed, in my view, to meet the city's own goals of having renewable power. So I think there was a failure that did take place, and it would be my effort to try to remedy such failures in the future. On the subject of water, I believe that there is now a tiered rate associated with water use. So if you're a water hog, you're going to pay a lot more. Even on the energy side, if you're an energy hog, you're going to pay a lot more. With water becoming more and more valuable, we may need to use the marketplace to tweak that current system so that we can drive down water use in the area, in the Los Angeles area. I believe conservation is absolutely key. I mean, all of us have turned on the shower in the morning and we've waited for the water to heat up. We have to implement the new structures so that we're able to conserve that water rather than that water being imported, being treated, and then simply going down the drain. We have to find new ways to do that conservation, and I will work to do that.
Hop in when it's cold.
Very good.
I pledge to
All right.
hop in before it gets hot. Okay, well, I appreciate your comments and look forward to, again, your leadership position there. And I agree. Our system of commissioners, the general managers usually report to the commissioners, and the commissioners are the citizen group that stand between the elected officials, the general managers, and the public to make sure there's accountability, transparency, and effective use of funds as we implement these services.
I completely agree that I think the brilliance of this government, of democracy, and the way that the city charter has been created is that citizens are the ultimate authority, and that we govern in the public interest, and we do need to balance the daily activities of a major corporation and the needs that they have. But it's my view that perhaps that balance has shifted too far away, and the citizen's voice is being left out.
Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Labange.
I just want to thank you for your service to the city. It's a great heritage, all directed back to water and power. And just a little tip, try to get out as far as you can to see the system and to remember the core business of providing reliable energy and quality water to the people of Los Angeles. It is a dynamic that is changing. I do think we have to be, they're great people up there. They're engineers, but they need to also learn the effort to tell their story and also tell the new story, because there's a new story. When you said about water, we don't create water in a factory. We create it from nature. and it's a value. I just wanted to thank you. And I know when you talk about that, the one thing about Water and Power in your commission, you'll see a big city seal up behind the commission. But wrapping around the city seal is the Department of Water and Power's name, because they have always had that strength, which is important, but it also has to be balanced. And as a commissioner, it has to be balanced as you serve that. So I just wanted to wish you well. I wanted to thank you. And the only encouragement I have is when you have time, which I know a very dedicated person like yourself, time is a challenge, to get out to see those who do the work, to see what the work is, because you'll be fascinated as well as it is. One technical question I asked is because I was driving across the desert the other day, and there's some argument as whether you build a 40 acres of solar panels and then put transmission to come to Los Angeles or not. How do you stand on that issue when you see creating, whether it's a wind farm or a solar panel farm, if I could use that term?
Thank you very much, Councilmember LaBonge. It's my view that we need it all. Good. And we need it all as quickly as possible. Right. So I'm agnostic on the exact vehicle that we need to turn to, but I'm dedicated to getting the best deal for the ratepayers, but also the best deal for the environment as well. For the environment.
Generation, transmission, distribution. It's the key to have that there. And the challenge I have on some neighborhoods is some older homes, roofs may not be as solid where we put them, but use it in industrial areas, use it where it makes sense. Pick I don't want to use that term because it's not fruit, but find the spots that are closest and best for those panels. Because I fear sometimes we can do a little too aggressive in housing, on the housing and some of the old houses. I don't want to affect the housing. You know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
I truly appreciate your responses and the yeses as we were having that dialogue, but I failed to ask you, have you been able to read the master plan for the river revitalization?
I have been briefed on the Rio plan.
Okay. I'd like to find a way to either connect with you or the commissioners to talk about this master plan. So much has been invested, hundreds and hundreds of community meetings. I really believe if we define how the stimulus package funds can be used to generate the jobs in this city, that the Department of Water and Power has a critical role in that capacity. Are there examples or are there policies or are there experiences you've had in which you've seen other cities or the whole green movement impact neighborhoods and creating jobs? Are there any experiences that you are familiar with that you can draw on that would help deliver that level of activity for our city as a board member?
Thank you very much for the question. Currently, the Green LA Coalition is operating a Green Jobs collaborative, and so there are many local instances that we can point to. In fact, we plan to even offer a tour of some of the green jobs that are currently being developed in the Los Angeles area.
Great. Keep us informed. I'd like to participate in that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Perry, do we want to take you? That's what I think everyone would like to do. Yes. Thank you for all of your responses. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on this appointment, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Congratulations. Mr. Garcetti.
Thanks so much. Thank you, and thank you. Congratulations to our new commissioner. We honored the city champions for our football team, and we have another champion that is in our city. In 2008, and they're coming forward right now, Munger, Tolles, and Olson, a law firm that was founded in 1962 in Los Angeles by 7 lawyers who believed that law practice of the highest quality could be established in a creative and stimulating environment, were selected by American Lawyers A-List as the #1 firm in America. Let's give them a round of applause and congratulate them on that incredible threshold. Munger Tolles Olson, which is headquartered in Ms. Perry's district, and she'll speak in a second. But I know Mr. Weiss has to leave and wants to say one thing to Munger Tolles real quick as well.
Thank you, Council President, and it's great to see many familiar faces here, and I can attest to what you're talking about. What I told Mr. Garcetti I would say is that I used to work at Irell & Manella, and I am certain that you are one of the top 2 firms in Los Angeles. But it's been great getting to know all of you over the years at the U.S. Attorney's Office and over there on the top of the hill. Congratulations, guys. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Weiss. And Munger Tolles' principal areas of practice include securities, antitrust, commercial and media litigation, corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, general business transactions and advice, intellectual property, real estate, taxation, and employment laws. But I think one of the reasons that they were selected as the #1 firm in the country was that they logged more than 15,900 pro bono hours in 2007, with more than 100 lawyers spending in excess of 20 hours on pro bono cases, up from 84 in 2006. It's an extraordinary accomplishment. They're recognized for their diversity, including their MTO's Women Initiative, which enhances the recruitment, retention, and advancement of women's attorneys at Munger Tolles Olson. And they also is the first Los Angeles firm to be chosen as the #1 firm in the country. So we congratulate you. Let me give this to you. And Ms. Perry, I know, wants to say a few things as well. And I just want to say congratulations to Munger Tolles Olson, not just city champs, but national champs, the best firm in America.
And the A-list was based on 4 core professional values: success of overall practice, revenue per lawyer, pro bono practice, associate satisfaction, and workplace diversity. So congratulations, Munger Tolles, for being the first Los Angeles firm to attain this honor and being on the A-list. Munger Tolles was founded in 1962 by 7 lawyers who believed that a law practice of the highest quality could be established in a creative and stimulating environment. And so I think we should give them a very big hand and invite Mark, is it Mark Helm? Yes. Mark Helm to the podium to say a few words. Give him a big hand.
Thank you. Before he does, Mr. Rosendahl would like to say a few words, Ms. Perry, before we begin.
I don't see him standing there, but it's Charlie Munger, isn't it? Okay, that's where the Munger comes in the play. Charlie Munger is a great contributor to the American way of life. He's been a major philanthropic figure in the region. I'm working with him on a project in my district that we're going to make sure the community and he partners appropriately for the district. But I can tell you that Charlie Munger is a treasure to the nation and to the city of Los Angeles. Of course, he's in his 80s. You're all kind of young there. So give Charlie Munger our regards. Thank you.
We definitely will.
Anybody else? Okay, go ahead.
If I may briefly say thank you to the council for this recognition. We mentioned Charlie Munger. When Charlie Munger and Rod Hills and Roy Tolles and Dick Espenshade and others founded our firm in 1962, they wanted to create a different kind of a law firm. And it was a law firm that would hire the most talented lawyers and would not deviate from that, no matter what the press of business might otherwise suggest. To keep these lawyers happy, it would try to give them responsibility and treat them with respect from the day they walked into the front door. And it would try to stay true to the principle that law is not just a business, but is also a calling and a profession. And for that reason, it would encourage, if not demand, that its lawyers give back to the community and try to be leaders in the profession. And so I think that the recognition that we have received shows the wisdom of those founding principles, and I therefore first accept this award on behalf of the founders of our firm for their vision and foresight. I also accept the award on behalf of the 489 lawyers and staff members who work every day to try to make a difference in the lives of our clients, in our community, and in our profession. And finally, and most important, I accept the award on behalf of the Los Angeles legal community, of which we are privileged to be a part. We are elevated and enhanced by the example of our fellow Los Angeles law firms. Their high integrity, high competence, and high professionalism have inspired much of what we set out to achieve, and which we think has too often been overlooked by the East Coast-centric national media. And so we are gratified by what the American Lawyer Award represents, not just for our firm, but for the well-deserved national recognition it gives to the Los Angeles legal community generally. So we thank you, and on behalf of all those people, accept the award.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we're very proud of Los Angeles and the Munger Tolles Olson firm. And you're right, Los Angeles has a lot to offer, and this firm particularly. So we want to congratulate all of you because you made it possible to be honored today. And thank Ms. Perry and Mr. Garcetti for the recognition.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Perry, I believe you have another presentation.
Yes, I'm ready, Madam Chair. I would like to ask the members of the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra, as well as several members of their board of directors, to come forward.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you? Take your stickers off. Everyone's picture. Okay. I'm joined today by members of the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra and members of the Board of Directors as they celebrate the momentous occasion of their 40th anniversary. The Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra was formed in 1968 and gave its first public concert at the Mark Taper Forum on October 27, 1969, under the baton of Sir Neville Mariner, renowned conductor and pianist Jeffrey Kahane. I was debating that. Thank you. I thought about it a lot before you got up here, but thank you. I was going to say Kahana, but Kahane is okay. Yeah, okay. Born in Los Angeles in 1956, has led the orchestra since 1996, and is the longest serving of any Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra music director. That is a very long time. The Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra now reaches over 30,000 listeners annually through live performances and is a resident company of 4 distinguished Southern California concert halls and collaborates regularly with legendary performers while nurturing the careers of emerging artists. The Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra has partnered with the Los Angeles Unified School District to present its free Meet the Music education program to students for more than 2 decades, including students from Trinity Street Elementary School located in the 9th Council District. In addition to their generous support, they have also invited young people and adults to explore music together at family concerts at no cost for 11 seasons. For over a decade, the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra has worked with grassroots community organizations to bring the orchestra into underserved Los Angeles neighborhoods for benefit concerts and special events. So I want to thank the board members present here today for their dedication and commitment to the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra. Their wonderful contributions, guidance, and service have been of great value to our city. I also want to thank Michelle Weger, Director of Institutional Giving, for her energetic spirit and constant willingness to make a difference in the lives of others. Michelle, can you put your hand up, please, so everybody knows what you look like, how they can find you. So please join me in recognizing and thanking the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra on their 40th anniversary of this outstanding organization. We applaud them for sharing joyous music making of the highest caliber and helping the city of Los Angeles become recognized as a global center for music and the arts. And through their efforts, they've truly served the people of Los Angeles. Would anyone like to say something?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council and everyone else. It's a great honor for us to be honored by the council of the city that we love so much. I did grow up here. I had the great good fortune to have parents who took me to concerts in the 1960s. I was present at some of the first concerts of the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra and in the new music center in the late 1960s, and I never dreamed that I would end up serving as music director of one of the great orchestras in America, the Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra. every city in America prides itself on different things, but one of the things that is common to all great cities is a great orchestra, and this city is proud to have two of them. The LA Chamber Orchestra only recently returned from a triumphant European tour for the first time in 30 years, representing the city to Berlin and Paris, Vienna, Hamburg, and other places across Europe. But perhaps the thing that is most touching to me as music director is what we do for the children of Los Angeles, thousands of whom have the opportunity to hear music at no cost and who otherwise would never have that opportunity. So on behalf of Andrea Laguni, our executive director, and my wonderful members of the board who are with me, and of course all the members of the orchestra, we say thank you so much for this honor. So.
Councilmember Gruhl.
Thank you. I just wanted to add my congratulations. I was able to be there the night that you celebrated in Pasadena, and the beautiful concert. And it's not only what you did that night, but what you do every single day, as you indicated, for the children. And that music is an integral part of our lives. And as we talk about it, and I know Ms. Perry's been an advocate of this as well, when they talk about cutting different programs, they always seem to go to arts and music. And we know that it should be the core part. And
Absolutely.
as a parent, Jan and I, parent, and my son's 5.5, music and dance and art are an important part of their lives. And so the Chamber Orchestra is such an integral part of Los Angeles and our cultural institutions. I wanted to stand up and congratulate you as well, and glad that we could be part of your celebration, and look forward to many, 40 years in advance that you'll be here providing that kind of service and enjoyment to our entire community. So congratulations, and thank you for all of your hard work and what you do.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry, anything else?
Nope, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Congratulations to you. Our next presentation will be by Councilmember Wendy Gruhl, who's standing in for Council President Eric Garcetti. Councilmember Gruhl.
Just follow stage.
You're welcome. Thank you. Colleagues, it really is my pleasure, and I get to do this on behalf of Mr. Garcetti, but as I said to he and his staff, that the importance of Ren Blight in my life, who I have known now, I don't think we want to tell him how many years that has been, but let's just say it's been over 25. That we've had the opportunity to work together. And his commitment to the city, not only as a city employee but now as a commissioner, is really extraordinary. And so it's really my pleasure to present to you this resolution. He was originally appointed to the Board of Directors of the Industrial Development Authority in November 2000 by then Council President John Ferraro, and was reappointed to 2 subsequent terms as an IDA board member in February 2004 and May 2007. And he served with distinction until October of this past year. Through his leadership, Ren has guided the Industrial Development Authority through the issuance of more than $2.7 billion in bond financing on behalf of Los Angeles manufacturers, empowerment zone businesses, and nonprofit organizations. His hard work has helped to bring businesses to Los Angeles and to create jobs for many thousands of Los Angeles residents, which we know is critical in this economic times to be able to create those opportunities. His work with the Industrial Development Authority has helped to reduce neighborhood blight, improve access to goods and services, and has made Los Angeles more socially responsible and business friendly. During his tenure as chair of the Industrial Development Authority, Ren brought innovative ideas which resulted in the expansion of IDA resources. Under his leadership, the IDA has continuously safeguarded the public interest through fiscally prudent practices, which we appreciate. He's always served with distinction and grace, dignity, extraordinary competency, and a deep commitment to the city of Los Angeles. And today, it really is our honor to be able to thank him for his exceptional service in the city of Los Angeles, for what he has done not only for us as elected officials, but more importantly to the constituencies and the taxpayers of Los Angeles, and those people who have jobs today because of the leadership and activities that Ren has demonstrated as chairperson of the IDA. And so it really is my pleasure to present to you this resolution on behalf of my colleagues to thank you for what you've given to the city of Los Angeles, decades of service, but particularly here as the president of the IDA. Let's give him a great round of applause. And let's just take a quick picture here. Turn around.
Mr. Reyes, did you want to speak on this matter? Mr. Reyes, hold on, sir. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to stand and show my support, acknowledgement, and thanks to Mr. Blight. I first met him in the early 90s as a staff person, so I can speak to him in his other life before the role he played today. But one of the few folks who had the type of compassion and understood the plight of our communities and was very real about how to create these opportunities. And I got to share with you, colleagues, at that time we did have a different council, and there was a different culture because of the longevity of many of the council members. And Mr. Blight was able to maneuver through these different fiefdoms with much skill and much art, but was able to get to the goals of implementing these policies. So I always admired that, the fact that you knew your numbers, you knew the dollars, you knew the finance, but you always kept the city as the primary goal, its health, and for that I thank you, because I believe hundreds and hundreds of people won't realize that as one of the unsung heroes, what a difference you made. So I thank you so much for all your hard work. I thank your family for lending you to us, because I know that takes a lot of work, a lot of night meetings, a lot of community meetings, and thank you for all that you've done. Thank you so much, Mr. Blight.
Mr. LaBonge.
Thank you, Mr. President. Brad, thank you. How's it feel?
Good.
You know, because you did a lot of good. You did an absolute lot of good. And those who contribute to our city should feel good, and those who see those who contribute should know that there's people like you out who make a difference. Always love seeing you January 1st on Orange Grove as we all celebrate the new year with the parade in Pasadena. But you've made a difference. You made a difference in my district. You made a difference for the whole city. I'm glad, Wendy, for honoring such a special individual. Thank you very much.
All right. It's your turn, sir, for the world to hear your comments. Oh, Mr. Garcetti, who has arrived.
Just very briefly, and my apologies to you, Reynold, and to the entire family and the IDA family as well. And thank you to Ms. Gruhl. I just wanted to add my voice as well. When I chaired Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee, which Mr. Weston now does, you were a true leader, not only from when you started under Mr. Ferraro, but you survived through a number of different administrations and reappointments because of the quality of who you were, that we recognize you as an incredible asset and jewel here in Los Angeles. And the jobs that you have created, especially when we think through now, the jobs that are needed in Los Angeles and the situation from this nation, and those of us who just came back from Washington and had meetings with administration officials, much of what we talked about is how do we use those local tools and those state tools to reward companies that are going to be adding jobs to the local economy. And when you look back, we probably can't quantify every job that you created, but there's nothing more satisfying than knowing what you did for those families, for those communities, and for this entire area. So God bless you, Reynold, for what you've done. We're sorry that you're retiring, but you deserve this retirement from the board, and congratulations as well.
Thank you.
All right. There you go.
Thank you. I'd like to first thank President Garcetti for appointing me to the IDA, and it's been a pleasure serving the city. I've worked a long time in economic and community development, and I want to say although I am leaving this particular slot, I will continue to work in the community, trying to stimulate job creation, stimulate the economy, and community development. So while I'm leaving this job, I suspect you'll see me around and involved in the community as always.
Thank you. Congratulations. Very well. Thank you. Madam Clerk, it looks like the quorum has been lost. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President, and just for the record, items 159, 61, and 65, and the special meetings items 70 and 71 were left on the desk, and those will be on a continuation agenda.
Thank you. We can hear public comment. We will hear public comment even though we do not have a quorum. So public comment, Mr. Gutierrez will be our first speaker. Mr. Gutierrez. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Good morning, members of the Los Angeles City Council. I'm here today to speak to you a little bit about
the elephants of the Los Angeles Zoo, something that I know that you've heard quite a bit about over the last few weeks, and especially we'll be visiting next week as well. This document was prepared specifically for the council members here in the chambers. It gives you a glimpse of enrichment at the Los Angeles Zoo and the care and quality of care that is prescribed for the animals and especially for the elephants. It's a very important document because it shows the efforts that are being put forward both by the enrichment program and for the research department at the zoo in order to provide for their animals the best that they possibly can. So this document is for you to visit at your own time. In my last minute, I would just like to make one brief comment saying that this is an important issue. I know there are many other important issues that the council has to deal with on a daily basis, but this is an important issue specifically because as someone once told me, the zoo is a window to the world. And if there are no more elephants at the zoo, if you don't have animals at the zoo, then that window would essentially be closed to them. So continue to show your support. And if you do have any other lingering questions about this issue, about quality of care, about what is actually best for the animal in this situation, what's best for the people of the city of Los Angeles, for your constituents, then please come to the zoo, take a small portion of your time to read through this document, and, well, enjoy it at your leisure. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Raimondo.
Fellow constituents, change is needed at City Hall. As you have heard, as you can see, we are left with no councilman to hear our concerns and our issues. I wanted to speak with Mr. Weezar, but he attended a special meeting in Van Nuys Court. And then there are those problems at City Hall. I plead and make an outcry for the citizens of Los Angeles that the economy is not going to get better. We can only look forward to the worst. We need to tighten up at City Hall. We need to scrutinize our spending. We need to check and balance what we have now before we run out. Over and over I had mentioned this recession, and now today it will become a depression. And with support of a new president, I hope there is change. Change to benefit you, and those that are left to hear what the true matter of the problems are at City Hall. Let's stop the cronyism. Let's stop fleecing our cars for our own personal reason, as brought out by Laura Chick's audit. And that about the elephant, let's support what we're losing, that $9 million for a project that was already put in measure. And on top of that, citizens of Los Angeles, you must come to City Hall and vent out this economy. You must let them know how this depression is going to hurt the majority of us. Those of us who are minorities. Those of us who, as Mr. New Mayor soon to be, the dog has said, why are we dropping $1 for the mayor when it comes to DWP? Here's my support, 1 penny.
Let's go to the Valley for Beverly Caskey, to the San Fernando Valley, City Hall. Beverly Caskey. Is there anyone there? No one there? Okay, Beverly Caskey, Van Nuys City Hall, not there. We will come back to LA City Hall. Mr. Sachs, Arnold Sachs. Followed by Mr. Dog. Mr. Zuma Dog will be following Mr. Sachs.
Yes, good afternoon, Arnold Sachs. Thank you. Couple of things. Regarding your awards to the convention center, any commentary again about the signage contract for the ads at the convention center, where the city is getting an opportunity to sell its assets at a garage sale price, while LA Live collects tons of money. Oh, and by the way, a couple of weeks ago there was an article in the newspaper how one of their sponsors is going to put up a 200,000 square foot sign Digital. Oh, City Council, with their negotiating acumen, forgot to negotiate with AEG. They have negotiations with LA Arena Land Company. So they're not going to get any money for that. So the city's not going to get any money for that. In today's press telegram, there's a little article, How to Cut the Fat in Your Budget. Whew, personal commentary. But one of them deals with health insurance. And so I say to the City Council, why not look at the fat in your health insurance policy? Follow your lead with the living wage law. Take yourselves and all the city workers, give them $1.50 an hour pay raise so that they can go out and get their own health insurance. Just like you have, your plan is for the LA living wage law, where companies that deal with the city only have to pay their employees $1.50 more, and then they don't have to cover them with health insurance. It's a great idea. Think of all the money the city would save in its budget crisis. Thank you for your time, your answers, and your attention. And keeping
Mr. Dog. Thank you very much, Mr. Dog. Zuma Dog.
Yes, I'd like the citizens at home watching to know what a joke of a clown city council we have. They sit here and just had hours of butt-kissing presentations only to lose a quorum, which means city business left on the table, items left on the table, members from the public who came here to talk about items affecting them, and you clowns sit here and get up and grandstand and kiss ass and suck.
Mr. President, his language is not within any decorum.
Mr. Dog, you're done. Thank you. You broke the rules, Mr. Dog. You broke the rules. Well, you got your warning so many times. Mr. City Attorney, you want to give him one more warning on the 5,000 we already had?
Just give him a warning. If he breaks the rules again, council should just leave.
Thank you. And my time could be reinstated.
No, it won't be reinstated. You took the time up, Mr.
Okay,
Dog.
all right,
Continue.
Dennis. Okay, if I could please continue uninterrupted. I would like the people to know that after City Council sat here for hours of presentations, they left items on the table, important city business, after members from the public, your voters, came here to discuss important critical issues. And I'd like to talk about one of them. What is the number one thing the city of Los Angeles does not want Zuma Dog to talk about? REAP, Rent Escrow Account Program. I'm here to tell all news journalists the number one story you are going to be reading about is the 500 to 700 multi-million-dollar lawsuits that awaits this city because of the REAP program, retaliatory against landlords. They say you got to make these aesthetic improvements. The bank won't approve the loans. Well, now you're a bad landlord, and then they can't afford to keep the property. They sell the property, and these are all the low-income residents that Mayor Antonio claims to stick up for. Well, when the landlord has to sell the property that's going to the low-income renters, well, they can't find anywhere to live. They're going to be on the streets, okay? And this is racketeering. I'm here to say that you will be reading about, I'm here to alert City Council, the first federal lawsuit against your REAP program is being filed. You're all shady criminals. You should be locked up in court.
Michael Carrion, our next public speaker. Mike Carrion, thank you.
Yes, my name is Michael Carrion, and I've sat here over and over, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 councilmen. The rest were too busy. This is a photo of a police vehicle parked in a bus, blocking a bus sign, right around the block on Judge Aliso. If you need more, someone contact me. This is another vehicle parked in front of a hydrant, right across the street, in front of Parker Center. So what does that say? I'm a police officer. I don't have to obey the laws. Wendy Gruhl, Mr. LaBonge, parking enforcement, nobody's going to touch me. This is in El Sereno. This is Hollenbeck Police Station, parking on the sidewalk, where a lady with a wheelchair has to walk in between the tree and the car, because she can't get by. But Chief Jimmy Price says, I don't care, I don't have anywhere to park. We are going to break the law, and nobody's going to do nothing about it. Speak to your councilman. Here's another one. Parked in the handicap. An LA police officer parked in the handicap at the Hollenbeck Police Station. According to them, parking enforcement cannot cite him. Only police can cite other police. You get the fox to guard the hen house, what do you get? Missing hens. This is ridiculous. I went in, I got the lieutenant. I asked him if he would cite this. He said no, all he would do was ask him to move it. If this city is so desperate for money, I counted 70 vehicles parked illegally this morning on Judge Aliso, on Los Angeles, and right outside on Main Street. If you do the math, if a ticket is approximately $70, they continue to do this on a daily basis. You work 250 hours a year, days. 1,120,000.
Thank you. The next speaker, Mr. Jennerjohn. Mr. Jennerjohn, your next speaker. Mr. Jennerjohn, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, so good morning, council members. My name is Phil Jennerjohn. I am one of the men who are running for mayor here in Los Angeles, and I have been fortunate enough to get an endorsement from the Los Angeles County Republican Party. I guess I should start by saying welcome back. I understand some of you were able to attend the inauguration ceremonies in Washington, D.C. President Barack Obama, congratulations. I'm sure that was a great source of happiness and joy for you. I, on the other hand, wasn't so thrilled. I'll be honest, I did not vote for Barack Obama. I don't care for his politics or his policies, but I'm not unfair. I understand that the people of America have spoken. He will be our president, and I will wish him well. I will hope that he does a good job. I'm not very optimistic from what I've seen, but I'll give him a chance. You never know. He could surprise me. I also want to say that radio show host Rush Limbaugh, he was a little bit controversial recently, people talking about, he was quoted as saying, "I hope he fails," when talking about President Obama. I think he's more or less talking about the liberal policies that he fears that President Obama is going to enact. Things like liberal policies that don't work, government takeovers of his auto industries, government takeovers of the healthcare system, government takeover of banking. These are not things that should be happening in free market democracies. These are, quite honestly, these are things that happen in banana republics and dictatorships. I'm not interested in this type of leadership. I'm not interested in this type of government. It's unhealthy for our country, and it's unhealthy for our economy. I agree with Rush Limbaugh. I hope that some of his policies are not enacted. A quick word about Billy the elephant. I'll be honest, a few months ago I didn't know much about it. It wasn't on my radar, but I went to the zoo, I talked to the handlers, I saw the enclosure. They talked to me about what they're going to do, how they're going to improve the program. And it comes down to the activists that come here to city council and complain about sending Billy to a paw sanctuary and stuff. They don't realize that the zoo says that there's a chance he would be castrated, but if they keep him at the zoo, they're actually going to bring in 3 females and he'll be able to reproduce. And I think it'll be a good thing financially for the city, so I support the zoo in that. And if I am lucky enough to get elected, I'm going to say that Billy stays and we'll finish that Packenham Forest. So thank you, Phil Jennerjohn for mayor.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, we have 2 left, Mr. Hubman, followed by Matt Dowd. That'll be our final speaker, and since there's no quorum, we will conclude after that.
Good morning. My name is Michael Hubman. I usually come down here to talk about human rights and homeless rights, but today I'm going to put on my charity hat and talk to you as waterman. I spoke to 2 managers at the Midnight Mission, and I find out that the mobile kitchen program is closing as of the end of this month. Now, that program had 5 stops, and it fed roughly 100 to 150 people at each stop 7 days a week. Now, imagine how many meals that is. Now, I can speak specifically for the folks on 6th and Gladys. That's 150 people that are not going to be getting fed like they were. The budget for that is a mere $350,000 to feed 150 times 5 times 7 times $365. That is cheap. So, hey, it just came to my attention. I'm bringing it to yours. I thank you for your time, and I also thank you for letting us do our community presentation, even though you don't have a quorum. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for your courtesy. Mr. Dowd, our final speaker for the day.
Yeah, thank you so much. Channel 35, Zuma Dog is right, though. There's been no council meeting this whole week because council's in recess going to Washington for the inauguration. And there's people at Van Nuys who come for public comment, so that's a whole week gone. They haven't had the opportunity. They've obviously left already. They didn't stick around last Friday, so it's really more than a week. It'll be till next Tuesday they get the public comment. So really, Public comment ought to be held when it says in the agenda right at the beginning of the meeting. But speaking of the inauguration, a couple of comments because I know the council was over there. So, you know, a lot of people are saying it's the first black president, and I don't agree with that at all. If anything, it's the first gray president because his mum is white, and the evidence was at the inauguration ball. He didn't bust out any dance moves. He dances like me, white. So let's just get our terminology straight, all right? Really everything, the Korean Americans and African Americans and Chinese Americans, it should be just Americans now. I never hear anyone call me a Kiwi American, and I don't walk around expecting it, and I don't want it. So I think we need to change the terminologies because everything's racist now. You pick up the paper and black people are getting killed by Mexicans, Mexicans getting killed by blacks, and it's all race-oriented. Everything comes back to race. Even when this council voted on the Tenny Pierce dog food settlement, that vote went down on racial lines. So you can look it up if you want in the city. So I wish everyone a happy and enjoyable weekend, and it's been fun as usual on Channel 35. Zuma Dogs, great point about
that
public
concludes our public comment for today. Are there any announcements? They will not be an adjourning motion since there's lack of a quorum. Any announcements around the horseshoe? No announcements? Madam Clerk? All right, so we are going to be adjourned due to the items will be continued to next Tuesday, and we wish everyone a happy weekend. Signing off from City Hall. Thank you.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
We now join our scheduled program in progress.
Pursuing careers in those male-dominated fields. With City Beat, I'm Patrick Rohde for LA This Week.
A tiny piece of Australia is on display at the LA Zoo. Patrick Rohde introduces us to the zoo's new baby koala.
This is Kirhai, the latest member of the LA Zoo's koala family. This baby koala was actually born in April of last year, but she spent her first 6 months developing in her mother's pouch. So far, little Kirhai has been a big hit with zoo visitors.
It's been really positive. People love the baby. They love to stand here, take pictures, and watch her move. She's been really active in the afternoon a lot, so she's just out and about. It's a great photo op. It's great to actually see the koalas move. They spend a lot of time sleeping, so to be able to see them move is really great for the public.
If Kirhai looks tired, it's because koalas really enjoy their downtime.
They can sleep anywhere from like 20 to 22 hours a day. They only eat eucalyptus, which does not have a lot of nutrition, so their metabolism is really slow.
If you come to the zoo to see Kirhai and her family, there's a good chance they'll be around.
They are always out. We have a climate very much like Australia, so luckily they're always out on exhibit. You can always see them any time of the day. And in the afternoon, they're really active, or in the very early morning. And since it's been cool, they're definitely a lot more active as are the other animals in the zoo, so it's a great time to come.
If you want to see Kirhai for yourself, the LA Zoo is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, log on to www.lazoo.org. I'm Patrick Rohde for LA This Week.
By the way, koalas are members of the marsupial family, which means they're mammals whose females typically raise their young in a pouch through early infancy. Other marsupials include kangaroos and wallabies. And you don't have to tell that to our resident animal lover, Andrew Tarr, who also knows all about things to do in L.A.
Hi, I'm Andrew Tarr, the city guy, with this week's list of things to do. When I was a kid, I used to have a clarinet. And you probably won't believe me when I tell you this, but it was a magic clarinet. Whenever I asked my parents for something and they said no, all I had to do was play my magic clarinet, and a few minutes later they'd suddenly reappear with that plate of cookies I wanted, or the TV remote, or they'd experience an unexplainable change of heart and let me go out and play, even though I was grounded. Musical instruments really can be magical. Believe it or not, I didn't even play all that well. So imagine how much magic could come from an instrument that did sound good. That's just a part of the story of Mozart's opera, The Magic Flute. Don't miss this mystical and uplifting classic performed by the LA Opera at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, now through January 25th. For tickets and information, go to laopera.com. Did you know that with a little know-how, you can use kitchen scraps and worms to make your garden more beautiful than ever? It's called vermiculture, and not only will it enrich your soil beyond your wildest dreams, it'll also help reduce global warming. Plus, if you're anything like me, you probably hate how fast kitchen scraps and worms start to pile up next to the refrigerator. Saturday, January 24th, Norma the Naturalist will tell you everything you need to know to start your own vermiculture project and be green with a green thumb. Just head over to the Suki Goldman Nature Center in Franklin Canyon Park at 10 a.m. Admission is free. The 21st through the 25th, see works of art from over 175 prominent galleries from around the globe. Then you can talk about them and people will think you're really worldly, even if you've never left LA. It's the 14th annual LA Art Show at the Los Angeles Convention Center, where you can see or even buy a dazzling array of over 15,000 works of art. For details, go to laartshow.com. If a person can have a whale of a good time, what kind of good times do whales have? That's just one of the things you can find out for yourself at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium on Sunday, January 25th at the Whale Fiesta, celebrating the Pacific gray whale's annual several thousand-mile migration. Don't miss this whale-sized party with puppet shows, arts and crafts, sand sculptures, music, food, and more. Admission is free. Go to cabrilloaq.org to find out more. I'm Andrew Tarr, the City Guy, and I'll be back next week with even more things to do.
It could be the nicest neighborhood you've never heard of. Tucked away near Dodger Stadium, it exists all right. And as Gil Reyes reports, there's now a marker to prove it.
Neighborhood kids unraveling the mystery. Its name, Solano Canyon. You say you've never heard of it? Well, you're not alone. Even the guy who spearheaded the sign committee says he didn't know the area had an official name until fairly recently.
I'm a native Los Angelino, born and raised, and I have never heard of this place. I used to drive through here, through this neighborhood, after a Dodger game, wondering who lived in these little houses.
Set on the rolling hills of Elysian Park, Solano Canyon is the last remaining community around the now extinct Chavez Ravine neighborhoods of La Loma, Palo Verde, and Bishop. Those areas torn down during the 50s to make room for Dodger Stadium. Solano Canyon survived to become a close-knit community, organizing annual block parties and reminiscing about the past.
I can't forget Mrs. Wilson, my second grade teacher, or Mrs. Jefferson, my third grade teacher.
State Supreme Court Justice and Solano Avenue School alumnus Carlos Moreno was one of the area's favorite sons. Other sons and daughters wanted to make the neighborhood proud, so they rallied around the sign effort.
It seemed to me to be one of the best ideas we've heard, certainly the ones that I've heard as president, and we embraced it. And we were fortunate enough to have the financial resources to allocate to it. I think we actually allocated 25% of a single year's budget just for this sign.
A lesson for other communities when it comes to neighborhood councils: ask and you just might receive. Even though residents could have asked for the sign probably a lot sooner, the area was founded over 140 years ago. Better late than never. In Solano Canyon, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Solano Canyon boasts its own Blue Ribbon School, Mission Church, and community garden. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Hi, I'm Antoinette Cristobal, Director of Finance for the City of Los Angeles Office of Finance. We are excited about a few changes we have made for the upcoming year in regards to filing your business taxes in the city. Once again, we will be offering a tax preparation program to help small businesses. Those businesses with total annual gross receipts under $100,000 can receive help in completing their annual business tax renewal form. Please continue watching for more information.
Businesses with total worldwide gross receipts under $100,000 may qualify for a small business exemption and owe no tax. In order to receive a small business exemption, business owners that qualify must file their renewals no later than March 2, 2009. Otherwise, the exemption will not be granted and tax will be due. Those businesses with total gross receipts of $100,000 or less can receive one-on-one assistance in completing and filing their business tax renewal forms. A tax assistance program is available on a limited appointment basis for small business owners who need help with their business tax renewal forms. The Small Business Tax Assistance Program runs from January 5th through February 12th of 2009. You can call 213-978-3403 or visit www.lacity.org/finance to schedule an appointment. And appointments are available at City Hall, Hollywood, and Van Nuys offices.
I'm Antoinette Cristobal. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, we want to make this process simple and efficient.
In the City of Los Angeles, when duty calls, the LAPD responds.
911 emergency. How old is your daughter? She's 4 years old. Her name's Janelle.
I lost my puppy. Can you help me?
We have a critical missing. There is an Amber Alert, so let's look for any information you get. Pass that into the watch commander. Let's be careful out there.
To fight crime and to keep our streets safe.
I'd be going nuts if this was my daughter.
Push agents at 7855, 211 Discovery, Olympic in Ardmore, the Child Market. Suspect found 958 West Side Block, Oxford towards Olympic. Property taken as currency. Code 3. 7855, Roger. Volume 7055 is in quick pursuit of a 211 suspect southbound near the house is requesting backup. Any area that comes out of this frequency. Every well. 7965, we're still
Protect and to serve.
All units, code 4, 11 to Catalina, suspect in custody.
Standing with our community.
Los Angeles Police Department this morning issued an Amber Alert. The suspect is driving a black Honda Civic.
Working as a team.
Hey, what's up?
I think I saw that car that you were looking for. Can you show us? Yeah. Let's go.
They take pride in what they do.
K910, code 6 on the
And when duty calls, the LAPD responds.
Positive on the vehicle.
Roger. Last like 2, we have positive on the Amber Alert vehicle. It looks like they found the car.
The LAPD is hiring. Become a part of the team. Visit us at joinlapd.com.
You're watching Neighborhood Council's calendar of events. Brought to you by LA City View Channel 35 and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Airing Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m., and 11 p.m. Neighborhood Council's calendar of events provides the latest information about meetings and events sponsored by all neighborhood councils throughout Los Angeles. Information listed on this service may be subject to change without prior notice, so please call the contact phone number listed for the meeting to confirm the event. This listing covers an advanced 2-week period. If you need additional information or require a meeting schedule for dates not listed on this segment, please log on to the city's website at www.lacity.org and click on City Events Calendar. If you need more information about how you can get involved with your community's neighborhood council, please call the Department of Neighborhood Councils toll-free at 866-LA-HELPS. That's 866-524-3577. If you need more information about how you can get involved with your community's neighborhood council, please call the Department of Neighborhood Councils toll-free at 866-LA-HELPS. That's 866-524-3577. You're watching Neighborhood Council's calendar of events. Brought to you by LA City View Channel 35 and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Airing Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m., and 11 p.m. Neighborhood Council's calendar of events provides the latest information about meetings and events sponsored by all neighborhood councils throughout Los Angeles. Information listed on this service may be subject to change without prior notice, so please call the contact phone number listed for the meeting to confirm the event. This listing covers an advanced 2-week period. If you need additional information or require a meeting schedule for dates not listed on this segment, please log on to the city's website at www.lacity.org and click on City Events Calendar. If you need more information about how you can get involved with your community's neighborhood council, please call the Department of Neighborhood Councils toll-free at 866-LA-HELPS. That's 866-524-3577. If you need more information about how you can get involved with your community's neighborhood council, please call the Department of Neighborhood Councils toll-free at 866-LA-HELPS. That's 866-524-3577. You're watching Neighborhood Council's calendar of events. Brought to you by LA City View Channel 35 and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Airing Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m., and 11 p.m. Neighborhood Council's calendar of events provides the latest information about meetings and events sponsored by all neighborhood councils throughout Los Angeles. Information listed on this service may be subject to change without prior notice, so please call the contact phone number listed for the meeting to confirm the event. If you need more information about how you can get involved with your community's neighborhood council, please call the Department of Neighborhood Councils toll-free at 866-LA-HELPS. That's 866-524-3577.
You're watching Adopt a Friend for Life, presented by City of Los Angeles, LA City View 35, and Animal Service Department. Adopting an animal is a wonderful way to add a new family member to your home. When thinking about adopting an animal, please remember to plan ahead and consider your lifestyle. It's important to consider your lifestyle to make sure you, your family, and your new pet are happy. Here are some questions to ask. How large an animal is right for your home? Do you have a yard for a large dog or a patio for a smaller animal? How active an animal do you want? Do you want an active dog or a sedentary cat? How much time do you have to care for an animal? Do you want an animal with short hair or one with longer hair? How often do you go out of town? Who will care for the animal while you're away? Do you have small children or older ones who will be involved in the care of your animal? Remember, responsible pet ownership means you will have the time to care for and socialize with your animals. It means that you're willing to make the commitment to care for your new family member. Adopting a dog means a commitment anywhere from 10 to 16 years. Adopting a cat means a commitment anywhere from 15 to 20 years. If you see an animal you'd like to adopt, please write down the animal's impound number and immediately call the number on your screen to make sure the animal is still available. Remember, the sooner you call and go to your animal shelter, the greater the chance you'll be able to adopt that animal. Adoption fees vary. All adoption fees include vaccinations, a physical examination, spaying or neutering, and license registration. Your animal will also receive its first medical examination free when you bring it to a member of the Southern California Veterinary Association. Simply bring in your animal within 3 days from the date of adoption and present your adoption receipt. All dogs and cats 8 weeks or older must be surgically sterilized before you can take them home. Spaying or neutering ensures your pet will live a longer and healthier life and will not be a safety and financial burden to your community. If your adopted animal is already sterilized, you may immediately take the animal home after completing the adoption process. If your adopted animal is not sterilized, LA Animal Services will transport your pet to a private veterinarian for a physical examination and sterilization. The veterinarian will contact you prior to surgery to discuss any medical concerns, additional related fees, and other options. Once spayed or neutered, you must go to the veterinary clinic to pick up your pet. We hope you find an animal compatible with your lifestyle. Enrich your life with an animal from a city shelter, and you'll know you also saved a life. Presented by City of Los Angeles, LA City View 35, and Animal Service Department. Adopting an animal is a wonderful way to add a new family member to your home. When thinking about adopting an animal, please remember to plan ahead and consider your lifestyle. It's important to consider your lifestyle to make sure you, your family, and your new pet are happy. Here are some questions to ask. How large an animal is right for your home? Do you have a yard for a large dog or a patio for a smaller animal? How active an animal do you want? Do you want an active dog or a sedentary cat? How much time do you have to care for an animal? Do you want an animal with short hair or one with longer hair? How often do you go out of town? Who will care for the animal while you're away? Do you have small children or older ones who will be involved in the care of your animal? Remember, responsible pet ownership means you will have the time to care for and socialize with your animal. It means that you're willing to make the commitment to care for your new family member. Adopting a dog means a commitment anywhere from 10 to 16 years. Adopting a cat means a commitment anywhere from 15 to 20 years. If you see an animal you'd like to adopt, please write down the animal's impound number and immediately call the number on your screen. It's time you considered the City of Los Angeles as an employer. With more than 30,000 employees and hundreds of job classifications, the City of Los Angeles has the position and advancement opportunities that you're looking for. The City of Los Angeles is an equal opportunity employer. If you're looking for a great job with excellent benefits, please consider these listings carefully. If you're interested in any one of the jobs listed here, please call the Personnel Department at 213-847-9240 for more information and an application. It's time you considered the City of Los Angeles as an employer. With more than 30,000 employees and hundreds of job classifications, the City of Los Angeles has the position and advancement opportunities that you're looking for. The City of Los Angeles is an equal opportunity employer. If you're looking for a great job with excellent benefits, please consider these listings carefully. If you're interested in any one of the jobs listed here, please call the Personnel Department at 213-847-9240 for more information and an application. It's time you considered the City of Los Angeles as an employer. With more than 30,000 employees and hundreds of job classifications, the City of Los Angeles has the position and advancement opportunities that you're looking for. The City of Los Angeles is an equal opportunity employer. If you're looking for a great job with excellent benefits, please consider these listings carefully. If you're interested in any one of the jobs listed here, please call the Personnel Department at 213-847-9240 for more information and an application. It's time you considered the City of Los Angeles as an employer. With more than 30,000 employees and hundreds of job classifications, the City of Los Angeles has the position and advancement opportunities that you're looking for. The City of Los Angeles is an equal opportunity employer. If you're looking for a great job with excellent benefits, please consider these listings carefully. If you're interested in any one of the jobs listed here, please call the Personnel Department at 213-847-9240 for more information and an application.